Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
Copyright disclaimer. This content does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this intellectual property. The content provided today has and always will belong to the content owner. Bible Chronicles does not have any affiliation with the owner of this property. As mentioned, Bible Chronicles did not intend to make use of any material for the purpose of harvesting gain. However, Title 17 of United States copyright law states material in use can only be done when it's for theological or general educational purposes, and thus Bible Chronicles believes that this principal material falls under fair use, which honors protection under Section 107 of the same U.S. copyright law.
En la Plaza de Reyes, Black 50, soplón. Yeah. ¿Qué vas a saber? ¿Qué vas a saber tú? Oye, chibolito, faltomé. Pulpín de los pulpines, batería de Rapunzel, de rapeos, de raptos, de lagartos en cuartel. Cualquier la pega de cruel con un viejo coronel. Soy flojo, se me antojó dormirme en el laurel. Elevé mi level con un label y un Faber-Castell. Ya un papel, lo empape con sangre de todo aquel que se jura Nobel y no ve mis trenes en la riel. What's so man? ¿Por qué no sacan la tablet? Juro por mis abuelos que no te hablo por las powers. Soy chinchado neto, búscame por Pico Sour y te voy a meter al centro loco como Beckenbauer. Escúchame atento mi bro, que estamos rompiéndole en pro. El negro de Plaza de Reyes como siempre rompe de este micrófono. Que quiere meterle como yo pero no puede meterle taco bro. Si te pensaba que solo era un gallo, déjame decirle que se equivocó. Real motherfucker feeling on the street. Es el black shit, black sea mental de Plaza de Kings. Motherfucker, so bloom.
Dinero Luigi, man, desde Peña, a la victoria, para que sepa. Incas Mo, it's money gang, gang, yeah, yeah, Yo también he llorado, gente. También me han desplazado por mi rasgo afrodescendiente. Sí, un perro no habla pero siente. Cuento historias callejeras pa' barrios de delincuentes. Soy un perro que te ladra, que te muerde y que te huele, nene. Soy más que Lele, ustedes para mí son pelele. Con mi jauría todo el día en busca de los cheles. Tengo un perro en fiscalía que nos mueve los papeles y otro en la comisaría para evitar el susto. Muchas veces me han llevado por solo como luzco. Perdón, madre mía, si yo le causé un disgusto, pero en esta vía yo crecí rodeado de perros chuscos. Yo sé que me quieren ganar, yo sé que me quieren tumbar y no pasará porque soy de verdad. Está súper rafina la Doggy Style, metido en latina aprendiendo un style. Yo tengo el style, no mido la raza del perro, yo mido por la lealtad y yo soy leal. La calle te enseña lo que no te enseña la universidad. Saliste ese peña aquí con una seña te tiran para atrás. La calle limeña aquí nadie la dueña, ya nada es igual. Tiene que respetar, tiene que respetar. La calle te enseña lo que no te enseña la universidad. Saliste ese peña aquí con una silla te tiran para atrás. La calle limeña aquí nada le duele, ya nada es igual. Tiene que respetar, si yo soy tu papá. Es Incas Mob, negro. Es Incas Mob, nigga. Nero Luigi, man. Incas Mob, it's money gang, gang, gang,
Hey, yo. Yango en la maldita casa. Me llaman pa' que les dé al menos una vez al mes. Se metieron al lago y olvidaron que era el mes. For everybody bless. La fama es una puta, me está llamando a las 3. Dile que llame después de las 10. 16 y 25. Volví de la infancia de Abraham Lincoln, con fuerza ya inco, luchando para salir del rincón. Letra callejera en CD brinco, under del under. Puede que tu viejo te lo mande, sale de vez en cuando como el cóndor por los Andes. Mi cuerpo no es de madera como Dandy. Antes que me branden, yo seré el ola que los expande. Aunque esto me pique en la madera, no sirven ni para romper el ticket de un evento afuera. Loco por la carrera, desafían la gravedad. Yo espero tras la barrera y llego con la novedad. Niña, tú solo espera que ya encontré la manera. He visto bastante por querer lograrlo saltando escalones dentro de la escalera. La vida me puso al depósito, yo soy de púlpito para que el mundo conociéramos de esta parte mejor intérprete que ha parido esta cordillera. Sin luz afuera, que el espectáculo es dentro, la calle es mi templo, tiembla el pavimento, cuando yo me concentro, mis disparos son temas, la calle un poema, se siente desde cuando entro, y a toditos estos drogaditos que creen que rapean los rezos al centro de mi balcón. Yo he visto el clon de clon en la misma gestión, pero a la malla no llega el balón, y para esta pantalla no existe patrón, yo ya me sé la cuestión, y doy por cada renglón, consciente de la operación del final de Mbappé con la edad de bufón, de Young la maldita casa, Plaza del Rey y papá, el Nero Luigi, Black Mental, hip hop peruano. Rasgo en la maldita base. Yao.
El autor viene a decirnos con mucha firmeza y gran convencimiento lo mismo que nos decía en el siglo XVIII el barón de Holbach, ¿no? Un filósofo francés de origen alemán. Si nos remontamos al comienzo, entonces hallaremos que la ignorancia y el temor crearon a los dioses. La fantasía, el entusiasmo o el engaño los adornaron o desfiguraron. La debilidad les rinde culto, la credulidad los conserva, la costumbre los respeta y la tiranía los apoya para que la ceguera de los hombres sirva a sus propios intereses.
Testing 1 2 3. Hold on a second. Testing 1 2 3. Yeah. Man. Oh man. It's pretty good. It's I guess what some people call Friday. Shalom. What up, brother? Good to have you. What a kuya. What a kuya. Yeah, bro. That's dude. Every time I see that video, man, it like pumps me up. And the reason I did it the way I did it was for a purpose. Matter of fact, let me show you guys. So hold on a second, all right?
Viene a decirnos.
Let me pause it real quick because I'm speaking on this one. I think it's here's where we start. So the first one is basically a message. Okay, this guy's saying that humanity has used religion, and people have justified the use of it, right? Or made excuses in order for them to manipulate you and to govern you. So it's like they give you the religious aspect of this book, and you chew it as you want it to be chewed, and you justify their wickedness. Not them, you, right? But here, I get into a point where it reminds me of the Civil War in Mexico, right?
sirva a sus propios intereses.
So you see the intro. My concept here is it's kind of like, let's go back a little bit because we're there all over again. It's no different than the scripture that I'm about to show. You know, it's like it keeps repeating itself. Once more, we are looking into these situations again. And this time right here, we had, you know, an understanding of things, but we just were a minority, right? Let's continue. So, you know, by showing that, it demonstrates that, you know, unlike what the people here like to, how they like to look at us through eugenics, through the glasses of eugenics, you get what I'm saying, because of their feeling of superiority, we still have our gente that can stand up and say, fuck you, straight up. And we get together. Now, that was, like I said, the minority. Here, we see we are the majority. Okay? So once again, we're facing the situation. Once more, we're looking at this picture again. I ain't gonna lie, man. There's nothing better than to see that view with the sun glistening, like, you know, shining off the water. And as it's flying in, you basically see the infrastructure of our gente, you know, their civilization, their thought process, and how they did things, right? And this is, you know, again, it's been recorded. We see that Theodore Ezekiel has talked about these things, right? People want to say, that's so. No. They knew who was here because based on what we know of the scriptures, right? We were already planting that, whether you look at it that way or historically speaking, whether you look at it like science-wise. You get what I'm saying? So let's continue. Now here's where I like this the most, because if you see these little spots, like these people here, like these are people, these are like the warriors. And they're bunched, organized like in a set of, like, let's say 10 by 6. So 10 soldiers across, 6 people behind each one. You get what I'm saying? All the way up to meeting them. See, but so they're not like all together. They're like in groups marching together, right? Against these guys right here. We were the majority then. So I just like to remind myself of how I just want to, sorry, my bad. I hope you heard all that. I just want to remind myself of how powerful and amazing our people are once we work together. Because shit, man, it's kind of hard to ignore, bro. You know, they're talking about attacking Venezuela, right? That's why I was like, bro, it reminds me, it's like, it's no different. In Ecclesiastes 3:15, it says, whatever happens or can happen has already happened before. What? I mean, that's a sincere fucking question, bro. God makes things happen. God makes the same thing happen again and again. Right. You see what I'm saying? So it's not far-fetched when you read Ecclesiastes 1 through 9. talks about the vanity of people, meaning in vain also means like hollow thought process. You get what I'm saying? Like you put thought in more important things than what you should actually consider. Like for example, he has already organized everything the way the structure should be, right? Yet man can't understand it. Then it says Ecclesiastes 1:9. What has happened before will happen again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new in the whole world. So basically saying it, look, okay, so here, the translation, I don't like it that much because it's like, okay, it's the same shit. It's not the same shit, same thing. But let's read it here. It says, the thing that had been, it is that which shall be. Right? So the past is like today. And that which is done, so like in today, is that which shall be done, is what the future will be again. And there's no new thing under the sun. Right? So it should not surprise us when we see this or when we read about this. This is a book called Harvest of Empire, Revised Edition, A History of Latinos in America. You guys know what I mean by that, right? Our indigenous heritage, and and particularly us. So I'm going to read to you here in this section, in this book, from here, and then we're going to move to another page because it's missing. No, matter of fact, I'm gonna start here, as I think this is the best approach. So we see, okay, hold on, let me do it this way. In the same book, okay, Harvest of Empire, page 42. So we're gonna read a little bit ahead of the book, and then we're gonna take some steps back so we can kind of reflect on. Okay, well, you'll see what I mean. Okay, we're gonna read about the past, and then we'll read about the future of the past. It says here, the devastation Cabeza de Vaca warned of still devised comprehension by late 1500, a mere century after the conquest began. Scarcely 2 million natives remain in the entire hemisphere. So we're seeing here, right? 1492. We've all read these things. Let's skip down. As historian Francis Jennings has noted, the American land was more like a widow than a virgin. Europeans did not find a wilderness here. Rather, however, involuntarily, they made one. And I will be frank with you. This is a fucking wilderness. America here, this land, it's a wilderness, right? Freedom of speech allows everybody to say whatever they want and teach and preach whatever they want. And you can believe whatever you want. That has caused so much chaos. Now, let me remind you of this, okay? Let's continue with this, because when you see, it says here, page 43, proponents of manifest destiny, and that's the talk that we're hearing right now. They're not saying it, but when they talk about invading somebody, it's like somebody just wanting, it's like someone saying, let's say you live in a condominium, right? In a complex condominium. And the HOA, which means the people that, run the shop to make sure everything's up to date, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? Legality shit. Then the HOA says, you know what? I don't like the music you're playing inside of your condominium. I'm just going to go in and turn that shit off. That's exactly what's going on right now. The assumption that you can just go into another man's house and change the shit. Matter of fact, what the U.S. or what this Republicans are doing is they're basically going into this other man's house and replacing him, right, by force. Manifest destiny is the excuse. Saw Latin Americans as inferior in cultural makeup and bereft of democratic institutions, meaning limitless of that shit, like limited. I'm sorry. Do you understand that? Do you understand what that means? Inferiority. They have an inferiority complex, so then they assume that you are inferior. And they do that and feel strongly by that because of the propaganda that they push through news and media and publications and media is the same shit, or Republican talk. Oh, bless his heart. Oh, bless her heart. Being like, you stupid ass. I feel bad. I feel sorry for you. It's fucking condescending. You guys don't get it, but I'm telling you, that's the way it is. It's like, not even No, it's not even that, man. It's just straight condescending. It says here, our country's Calvinist beliefs reinforce those territorial ambitions perfectly. Americans could not point to the nation's prosperity, to its amazing new networks of canals and steamboats and railroads as proof of their God-given destiny to conquer the frontier. Right? So because apparently they industrialize these lands, they feel superior. Okay. Newspapers and magazines of the day were complete with articles by noted phrenologists like George Caldwell and Dr. Joshua Knott, who propounded the superiority of white Europeans over Indians, blacks, and Mexicans. And you know, all of you Republicans, every single one of you that's supporting like Trump's talk and everybody that's doing their shit and blaming the Democrats, you know what I mean? Because both of you guys are the same shit anyways, but specifically you guys, just stop the bullshit, bro. Just get out the closet and be the racists that you guys fucking are. Like, seriously. You got people here in a political camp, you know, a political environment that may actually end up being in position of power, goes around, says some shit about all kinds of national, well, specifically black folks, like, you know, watermelon people and all this and that. Like, what the fuck, bro? Those are racist ass people. And then you go and say, oh, you know, that's what kids do. What the fuck you mean that's what kids do, bro? First of all, they ain't even kids. They're like 30 years old and shit. And 40 years old, that's a fucking kid? No. Don't make excuses for your Caucasianness. To the Caucasian race is the world indebted for all the great and important discoveries. Now, I'm going to say this to you, Caucasians. You guys know that you're Edomites. And I know this for a fact that you know this for a fact. And Freemasons, you guys know that they know that you know. Once you connect the dots between every single way that they worship their deities, their gods, their religions, you see this religion of Christianity. And, you know, you start really digging deep into some of this stuff, man. I found something amazing. You know, I had done a class before regarding who these people were, right? And I found them through their deity. Once again, it's just a confirmation that you guys speak about yourselves and you don't even realize it. I find out that you do have this type of image or imagery or this God on a coin, and his name is Kos, K-O-S. And Kos is the god of the Edomite. The Caucasian race. So the Caucasian race is the world indebted for all the great and important discoveries. Are you basing that because of Genesis 25? I'm sorry, 27? Inventions and improvements that have made in science and the arts. Caldwell wrote in his influential Thoughts on the Original Unity of Human Race. Not one of the South's best-known surgeons took Caldwell's view one step further. He urged the need for eugenics to keep the white race pure. Whatever is the history of the world, the inferior races have been conquered and mixed in with the Caucasian. The latter have sunk into barbarism, not proclaimed a speech in 1844. Let that sink in. Let that sink in for a fucking moment. You ready? Let's continue. Samuel George Morton, the Philadelphia ethnologist, who possessed the largest collection of human skulls on earth, but rests their conclusion with scientific, quote-unquote, studies on the relative size, capacity, and composition of the brains of different races. Morton, according to Knott, has established the fact that the capacity of the crania of the Mongol, Indian, and Negro, and all the dark-skinned races is smaller than that of the pure white man. How convenient. Knott even extended those differences to single out other Caucasians or mixed breeds. Now, and Donald Trump and all these people talk about that. That's why they talk about the replacement theory. Yeah, I can't replace us. You trying to replace us, white people. Your insecurity is like bleeding from you. And and matter of fact, you try to act tough and it shows weakness. The only way you feel tough is with a gun and a knife. That's a fact. You take a gun away from you. Take a gun away. No guns, no knives. I'll guarantee you're not as brave as you are. Guaranteed. Contrasting whites in the United States with the dark-skinned Spaniards, he wrote, it is clear that the dark-skinned Celts are fading away before the superior race, it says, that they must eventually be absorbed. Wow. Yeah, this is the way they talk. And let me remind you of what Ecclesiastes was talking about, what has happened before, it'll happen again, and it'll happen again. Now, this is in regards to the lands here in North America. Okay, I'm not going to read it all. I'm just going to kind of read this here real quick. But it is no different than the intent that they have to Venezuela. For or towards Venezuela. This is on page 44. Also concluded in 1848 treaty was crucial 1850 mile-wide Nueces strip between the Rio Grande and Nueces River. Why is that? Because the herds introduced by Spanish settlers in the 1700s numbered more than 3 million heads by 1830, securing control of those herds and of the original Spanish land grants in the region. Soon produced vast fortunes of early Anglo settlers like Charles Stillman, Richard King, and Mifflin Kennedy. So for all you white people, right, all you white folks, Caucasians, Edomites, that claim that you were so great at your shit, like, oh, look what we done. Well, no, listen, you took land away from people. Those animals did not belong to you. You didn't raise them from the get-go. You stole the whole avalanche of land, and an avalanche of animals. Out of those Mexican lands, the U.S. cattle industry was born. Thank you very much. And now you're complaining because apparently, your daddy Trompetas is going to allow Argentina to start selling, meat cattle to us. So guess what? When they start showing the labels on where to buy what, I'm going to make sure I know where to buy. Considering what you've done, you can wrap your mind around what I'm going to do. Or just wrap your mind around which one I would buy. Those Mexican lands, the U.S. cattle industry was born. Even though the majority of the ranch hands in the industry early decades were about anything but Anglo. You see that? There was anything but all of that area. You guys talk about your family and shit. Like this is 1830. 1850, what is that? 170 years ago? That's not that long, bro. They want to add 250. Shut the fuck up. That's a lie. And by the way, unless all of you guys are Freemasons, then you should consider 1776 as your date of birth. Yeah, unless you guys are all Freemasons. If all of you so-called Americans consider yourselves Americans, then all of you are practicing Freemasonry because it was the Freemasons, your daddies, your kings. Hold on. Matter of fact, who hooked that shit up? And like I told you guys, man, sometimes you just run into stuff, you get lucky buying books and you find stuff in books. Give me a second, family. You find stuff in, books, material, and you like, wow. So I'll get it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't expensive. I happened to purchase this Holy Bible, right? Watch this real quick. I'm gonna show you this real quick. Let's keep it 100 here, man. Stop bullshitting me. I'm sorry, stop bullshitting people because you ain't bullshitting me. Like I see it. I see it. And you know what, family? Now I understand why the character Jesus in their Bible is important. I understand that now. I understand it more than ever now. Because by the way, the name of that character, Kaz, I actually found it in this book. So check this out. I found this at a swap meet. Holy Bible, Master Reference, Freemason Holy Bible. Okay. Now, it has to be King James, fam. In case you guys don't know this, it is mandatory King James. So now you wonder why those BHIs were writing the, King James, rod and shit because of that. Now, that's a side point. Here we see Masonic presidents, 1789 through 1797, it was George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, Andrew Jackson, James Polk, James Buchanan, Andrew Johnson, James Garfield, Theodore Roosevelt, William McKinley, William Howard Taft, Warren Gamaliel Harding, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Harry Truman, Gerald Ford, from 1770 something to 1970 something. All of these people, the ones that you guys adore, that you call yourselves your forefathers, they were all Freemasons. And now I know why you guys like that character Jesus in your Bible. Because that's not actually, you think that's Jesus, family. It's not the way they interpret it. Because the way that these guys are saying is that the Old Testament God is evil. The person that came and gave them light, understanding, is good. However you translate that to Satan or Jesus. I'm telling you, man, I'm going to get into it another time. I know a lot of you guys are probably upset at me because I'm saying stuff like that. But you know what? I didn't think it was going to come to this point. Because now I'm really seeing the evilness of people. Dude, you got to be evil to be like tripped out like that. You know what I'm saying? Straight up evil. Here, I'm going to say this for after because I think this is funny. I don't want to side point on any of that shit. Hold on, fam. Hold on. Here we go. I'm going to play this because guess what? Again, the point of the class, right? Neocons. Let's not forget, we've seen this in the past. Now we're seeing it again, which is all based on what? Land grabbing. Land grabbing. Let's continue.
Consumo blanco ario del norte está acercándonos a la extinción de la humanidad. Entonces, los problemas políticos y de inestabilidad de nuestros países crecerán, crisis climática que será respondida por el norte como en Palestina. No los van a invitar, no les van a permitir la entrada, ametrallarán y usarán campos de concentración.
That brings me to what Trump is now vowing over the weekend. And this should be known so you understand.
I had posted this back in 2023, 2024, I believe. And President from Colombia, Petro, was talking about this is going to happen here. What is going on in Gaza, you're going to see it happen here.
And what we get from Trump tomorrow night at the debate might not be this extreme. He might even run right away from this. But to his base, with that programming, he is campaigning on what he says he will do, that he will order officials to go past what I just showed you the law is, that he will do, quote, bloody border enforcement, that he will have people, quote, killed immediately for returning to the U.S. border.
Getting them out will be a bloody story. Should have never been allowed to come into our country. If you come back, you will be executed. You will be killed immediately. Not going to be easy, but we'll do it.
See? Nah, and he doesn't stop there. Why are you showing up over here? Then he goes and doubles down about a year and a half after. Check this out.
Diosdado dice que en Venezuela no están, sí están. Yo lo que he hecho es invitarlos, es a sacarlos, coordinando. Los gringos están en la olla si piensan que invadiendo Venezuela resuelven su problema. Meten a Venezuela en el caso de Siria, solo que con el problema que se arrastran a Colombia lo mismo. porque irían estos grupos a apoderarse de las riquezas del subsuelo, invadiendo Venezuela.
You see that? Invading and taking the resources of particular people. And that's what happens when you were always a predator and now you're becoming a prey. You're not the top dog anymore, so now you want to let it out on other people. Right now, it's about mass grabbing, family, because it's very clear to me why this is happening. 2 reasons, and I'm going to show you right now.
Venezuela resuelven su problema, meten a Venezuela en el caso de Siria, solo que con el problema que se arrastran a Colombia lo mismo, porque irían estos grupos a apoderarse de las riquezas del subsuelo, minerales, y eso significa más economía para la muerte, no para la vida. Así que yo le dije a Trump a través de sus emisarios que eso sería el peor error. Y no es como la prensa dice, Augusto Cubides, que entonces somos aliados de Maduro. Yo voy a pasar aquí, Maduro va a pasar. Cualquiera que sea el año, el mío está fijado por la Constitución.
As you can see, this was 2 months ago, and he's repeating about why he thinks they're going to come in. And he's like, yo, man, I'm not aligned with anybody. Basically, you know, I got my term, he has his term. And that's what the Constitution gives us. However, that's not what we're seeing. I want to show you this particular thing here. This is one reason. This is from 2 years ago. See, in case you guys don't know,
which started...
and I've talked about this in scripturally speaking, you know, a lot of us were aware of this already, right? A lot of us were aware of what was going to happen. I believe it's here. Let's see, here goes. 2 Ezra 16:21. 2 Ezra 16:21 talks about the moment when things will get really crazy, right? The beginnings of sorrows and things of that nature. Verse 18 says, the beginnings of sorrow, the great mournings, the beginnings of famine and great death. Now, we in case you guys like, well, I don't see death around. No, bro, you guys are not realizing what's going on in Gaza. It doesn't always pertain just to your location. This also pertains to other areas. The beginnings of wars, deaths and famines. We're already seeing this happening in Gaza already. And the power shall stand in fear, right? The beginnings of evils, like straight malnutrition, man. There's people starving to death. What shall I do when these evils shall come, right? It talks about all of those things. Now, here's where it gets more interesting. It says, behold, on verse 21, visuals, meaning like merchandise, shall be so good cheap upon earth. So I've read this before in other times, and it's just like, no, you know, things will be so inexpensive. Your life will be good. Like, you know, the dollar will have power and value. Like, I can go anywhere and buy a lot of things, you know, a lot of merchandise. Beautiful Christmas moments. Remember you guys that used to celebrate that shit? All kinds of gifts. All kinds of money spent on all that because it was very inexpensive. You know, Walmart, 99 cents, all these things. You know what I'm saying? It was so, it says that this shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. So it's like, oh man, no, we good. They ain't going to change. Not in 100 years, not in 50 years. Nobody assumed it. And even then shall evils grow upon earth. Sword, famine, and great confusion. So the moment that occurred, which started in the 70s up until now we're seeing the actual, the further after. The further after, man. Because I do believe that this is one of the reasons.
It's a club.
In case you guys missed it, there's, you know, something called the BRICS. And China's already in. So it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and then South something, I think. Saudi Arabia, I think. Okay. China's trying to back its currency with gold now. They're inviting people and they're looking for countries that have value, resources that you can bet your money on, so to speak. Because the dollar doesn't have anything to bet its money on. It's fiat currency. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's not attached to anything. So here we see that the BRICS were interested or are interested in inviting Venezuela into the BRICS, because if he or the country gets involved into the BRICS, then the BRICS now it becomes more powerful, because guess what supports the value of that BRICS negotiation with that dollar, whatever currency they're going to be using within the BRICS, right? Let's say the oil is going to support that. And that is would be worth more than the dollar, because like I said, the dollar's just a bunch of air. This is 2 years ago, family. You see, when the predator is becoming a prey, you go through, desperate measures required, or desperate things require desperate measures.
Which started small but is about to get bigger. Some 40 countries have expressed interest in joining the BRICS. Venezuela is one. Its government is lobbying hard to become a member of the group. Events in the region have helped that bid. Brazil, a founding member of the BRICS, now has a government which is sympathetic to Venezuela's ambition.
You see that? They're not treating Maduro like a fucking narco trafficker, because that's what they're telling you guys here. Not at all. Let me speed it up real quick. I think it's important to see.
E a Venezuela sempre foi parceiro excepcional para o Brasil.
Here was President Lula in May.
É a primeira reunião oficial dos BRICS que eu vou participar.
It will be my first BRICS meeting after 8 years.
E tem várias propostas.
There have been proposals from countries which want to join. It's not just up to Brazil, but all members, and we will decide there. But if you ask me what I think, I support the idea.
Pedido será oficialmente levado para os BRICS.
At the same meeting, the Venezuelan leader confirmed his government's position.
Yes, we want to be part of BRICS in a modest manner and join the construction of this new global architecture, this new geopolitics of the new world.
And obviously the reason is because U.S. keeps sanctioning right now. I think they're still sanctioned, which means they can't do business with nobody, bro. I mean, everything's all based on the currency of the dollar. So if the dollar says, F you, get out of my house, you can't live here no more, what are you going to do? By them being part of the BRICS, that means they don't depend on the dollar any longer. So if U.S. try to sanction them, they wouldn't fucking matter. Now you're seeing what's going on. Now that's one angle. So it's like, if you're not going to listen to me, so to speak, this is what, Edom Sucks kind of looks at it. If you're not going to listen to me, kid, I'm just going to have to take it from you.
Mundial, desse novo mundo que está à nossa frente.
Joining the BRICS presents an opportunity for Venezuela, which is sanctioned by most members of the other global grouping, the G7. Being accepted would help support the government's message that many important global...
All of these other people are sanctioned. So let's see if we can get some here we can do this here.
Global powers have no interest in shunning the South American nation.
The BRICS is an alliance that is confronting clearly with the G7, and for Maduro to belong to this alliance is like saying, well, I'm here, I'm joined this group, I'm not isolated at all, I'm here with my best partners, China and Russia, and now with a good partner, which is Brazil and the government of Lula.
There's also an economic attraction. Venezuela's access to international finance markets has been severely hit by US sanctions.
See what I mean? And these US sanctions, by the way, have caused a lot of the migration, which now the, Edomites, the Cracker Barrels, I'll say it like that, the lovers of hate, Cracker Barrels lovers of hate, they create the problem and they complain about it. It's really the case. You sanction a nation, now these people can't eat. What do you expect them to do?
keen to join the New Development Bank, formerly known as the BRICS Bank, although membership of BRICS is not essential for that. For the BRICS, were Venezuela to join, the country with the world's largest proven oil reserves would be under its fold, though currently Venezuelan oil production is at near historic lows, the consequence of years of corruption, mismanagement and US sanctions. If the BRICS is meant to represent the world's 21st century emerging powers, the admission of Venezuela and others will inevitably change that image.
Venezuela sees nothing but advantages in joining the BRICS. Now it's up to the existing members of the organization to decide the nature of its expansion.
Now you see, this was 2 years ago. Okay? 2 years ago. Let me see if I want to play this. Yeah, okay. So check this out. I think this is helpful. Here is the president of Colombia.
El trabajo, por eso se destruyó la.
I thought about what would be the best part of this to show. I think this is the best section, okay? Because he really clarifies for us the how can I say it? The similarities of the struggle over there in the Middle East, because the same thing that's going on over there, it's also for, you know, positioning themselves to have control of oil. Do you understand it? It's all about the resources. It's no different. Let me see what you say, brother. Napoleon Bonaparte had the same thing. Things need to go my way type of attitude, and towards the end of his life, it got him a prison and sentence, confined in an isolated island. Damn. Isolated island? Like by himself? I think I saw a movie like that. It's crazy though. So let's listen in, okay? He's gonna mention a few things. He's gonna go about maybe 4 minutes. Please pay attention. You see, they did this interview 2 hours and stuff. Nobody talked about it. Nobody really mentioned it. But he said a lot of important things. People only focused on this part here. Everybody mentioned what he said right here.
La humanidad tiene una primera salida y es cambiar a Trump. De diversas maneras. Puede ser por el mismo Trump, la más fácil. Si no, sácala a Trump. En muchos.
So they made a big deal about, they're like, oh, he's accused, he wants to, you know, unalive that man and shit. Supposedly, that's what they're saying, right? That's the whole theory. So they made a big deal about that, but they didn't say anything about this section here. So listen to this. Let me put up the. Okay, let's go.
Y lo dije antes, imbuido por la ciencia. En este caso no económica, sino el tema de la crisis climática, dijimos, existe en la teoría económica y lo demuestran los árabes, los hechos fácticos, que es lo que la ciencia debe ver, y lo vemos en Venezuela. Y lo critiqué a Chávez y lo critiqué públicamente y dije, ¿por qué no podemos hacer lo mismo que Venezuela? Porque Venezuela hace lo contrario y ahora tiene las consecuencias igual que los árabes, que lo que yo hago, lo contrario. El modelo económico de Maduro es el que deseaba Uribe. Bueno. ¿Cuál es? Especializar en Colombia en petróleo y carbón, en el caso colombiano. Y bueno, los venezolanos saben el error, pero aún, fíjese, en todas las mesas de negociación política que han existido en los últimos años, que yo he apoyado, y apoyé con Biden, y por eso Biden me quería, y ahora les importó un bledo, entonces me echaron, es que no aparece en la mesa de negociaciones política entre la oposición y el gobierno venezolano, que son los que tienen que negociar, no nosotros por ellos, no los gringos por ellos, a imponer como reyes, es cómo Venezuela puede crecer en adelante sin el petróleo. ¿Cómo Colombia puede crecer? Más fácil para nosotros sin el petróleo. ¿Cómo Ecopetrol se puede transformar en una empresa grande latinoamericana que esa sí valorice sus acciones y no como el mercado está viendo y por eso se caen las acciones, porque solo depende del petróleo? Y además en unos negocios, 15% de sus ingresos, todavía no la mayoría, todavía hay oportunidad, que es un negocio chimbo en el que metió Bayón a Colombia, en el campo de ese, y le explico por qué y fácilmente. Porque en medio del mar de petróleo que hay ahí, en ese lugar, Delaware, unos valles, y Texas, en medio de ese mar de petróleo, y tiene el sindicato en saberlo, pero se equivoca por no tener los datos, el campo Permian no tiene tanto petróleo sino gas. ¿Y sabe cuánto gas? El precio del gas en Estados Unidos, a diferencia de como lo vende Luis Carlos Sarmiento en Cartagena, Barranquilla creo, 0 pesos el millón de BTU, $0 durante varios meses, y después de que valió 0, no ha subido de a $2 el millón de BTU. Hermano, es muchísimo menos rentable que el petróleo. Y le metieron conejo a Colombia. Entonces, le metieron 2 veces conejo, que es lo peor. Le vendieron un campo de gas y no de petróleo, como si fuera de petróleo, y fue y metió la plata el tonto este. Y 2, cuando ya se sabía, porque no lo contaban, pero se sabía, y mire usted que está ya viviendo allá, los informes no de Colombia, de las oficinas de control que hay sobre los mercados valores y todo eso, vuelve el socio, el Oxy, y le dice, pues ¿cómo?
In case you guys missed it, basically he's talking about the deal. Instead of like oil, they bought that land or sold that land, right? Or recovered that land. They thought, well, there isn't oil there. Fine. But there's gas there. And the way that, this is what I'm talking about, family. Like, you're paying for so much more for something that they paid so much less for. They practically got the gas, the propane. They basically got it for free. And they're selling it to you at 100% profit. Now, here's what I do know of the mistake that they're going to be making. This is the same concept. Oh no, sorry, I already saw this. Already showed this. My bad. Dispensa. I wonder what the hell that was about. Hold on a second. Oh, here it goes. All right, so now here's one major reason.
Esos judíos de las 12.
Right, I had told you about the whole, the oil stuff, right? It's like they sure as hell don't want to let the oil go to BRICS, and they sure as hell are not going to let this guy, that's how they see it, talk about their favorite baby brother.
Esos judíos de las 12 tribus, que no son los que mandan hoy en el Estado de Israel. Los que hoy gobiernan Netanyahu no es judío auténtico. Él es un cambalache que viene por allá de Polonia. Para los que les gusta hablar de religiones y dicen que esto es un conflicto religioso. No, esto no es un conflicto religioso. El conflicto que hay desde la fundación del Estado de Israel es un conflicto geopolítico. Porque ese Estado lo crearon para conquistar todo el Medio Oriente y Asia Central y quitarle las riquezas y colonizar esos pueblos. Es el proyecto sionista que dicen que van desde el río Jordán hasta el Éufrates y más allá.
So that, the BRICS situation with the oil, and that right there. I know it's probably like, I'm telling you, family, these fucking people are wicked, bro. And you got power like that, and you say shit like that in front of them. Hold on. Let me show you Let me show you a little bit of this, because then that'll block me. I'm going to do like maybe 30, 40 seconds. I think this is interesting right here. This part. All right, listen to this.
Victory over drugs is our cause, a just cause. And with your help, we are going to win.
On the 20th of December 1989, the United States launched its biggest military operation. 25,000 soldiers poured into the small Central American Republic of Panama, supported by air power and a huge intelligence operation.
On December the 20th last year, the Latin American Republic of Panama was being liberated.
On paper, the invasion was about restoring democracy. In reality, this was a drugs bust, carried out.
I don't want to play too much of that because I know that this is I think this is copyright, and they'll block the whole session for that reason. So I want to show you something because that's happened before. Again, nothing new under the sun. Nothing new under the sun. All right? So check this out. I'm going to give you pieces. I want to bring you along to like what we're seeing here. Because this is interesting. Now here, we see this guy. Alex Jones, right? Listen to what he says, fam. Listen to what he says and listen to how he says it.
Not Afghanistan, all of it. I've been against all these wars, Ukraine war, all of it. But if you look at U.S. doctrine and wars that we fought before that were right, it's in Latin America. This is our sandbox. And Venezuela is a communist dictatorship with the biggest oil reserves per square foot in the world. Their people are absolute slaves. And I don't like regime change, but they are manipulating our elections.
Like you fucking care. You don't care about the people's life in Venezuela, you fuck faces. Oh, the people are suffering because he's a dictator. Da 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 da. Shut the hell up. The same people that you calling them, they're sick, they're murderers, they're rapists. That Venezuela is just sending insane people. Now you're worried about them.
Elections. They are flooding us with fentanyl, and if there were surgical strikes to take out the communists, there'd be an uprising and they could have elections and it would be a good thing.
What is he talking about? First of all, I thought China was flooding us with, excuse me. I thought China was the one. I need to get a drink of water.
I'm not one to ever push off. So I'm not one to ever push offensive stuff, but they started it, so it's really defense. So I'll say it. I am for removing the Venezuelan dictatorship. But by the extension, the cartels back down and have basically slashed fentanyl production 90+%. I mean, they're killing their own people that do it. That's well known. And even in mainstream news. So it's kind of like Trump. I'm going to come get you in Mexico now because of what you did before. And the CIA was basically allowing all that, running a lot of it.
Okay. I just want to say, he's saying, oh, Venezuela is flooding us with fentanyl. We were told China was flooding us with fentanyl so that we could justify going after China. But now we're using it to justify going after Venezuela. He then says Venezuelans are slaves. They're not living in a democracy. They're living under communism. That's not our.
And they turned a blind eye to its production. Most of it comes out of Canada now. That's on record. So
well, let's go after the Canadians. I mean, who's making the fentanyl and who's giving?
So now you see the propaganda, right? This is propaganda to the fullest here. The guy on the right side. That's what the fucking Crocker Barrels listen to. They listen to Fox. Benny, what do you call that? Benny Buttplug Johnson. That guy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they listen only to those things, and obviously it's like an echo chamber, bro. I don't know if they listen to what they want to hear, because it seems like they're not the brightest people in the entire planet of the earth.
And steal its oil.
I'm sometimes wondering, what is it? Let me show you this real quick. This is interesting. We've seen this before.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump has come out openly and admitted that he wanted to take over Venezuela's oil.
When I left, Venezuela was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. It would have been right next door.
The US government initiated a coup attempt against Venezuela in 2019. The Donald Trump administration appointed a little-known right-wing opposition politician named Juan Guaido as the supposed interim president of Venezuela, despite the fact that he had never participated in a presidential election.
Do you hear that? He didn't run for election. He did not run for election. And Cracker Barrels over here grab him and say, hey, you need to be running that country. What the fuck, bro? Another, yeah. Based on how this guy chooses people, Donald Trump, he's just like, yeah, just pick that guy. Who fucking cares? They're all the same fucking thing. They're all the same. I don't care about you, man. Fuck, bro. Whose wife divorced? Let's see, Alex Jones. They said whose wife divorced him for being a complete, utter nut job. Yeah, China, Venezuela, and now Canada. It's a mystery where the no. You know what? Forget about where it comes from. Why are you using it? Look, man. Like alcohol kills more people than fentanyl per year. That's a fact. If you combine alcohol, it's statistics, you can look it up. Combine its health concerns, its social concerns, its mental concerns. People go crazy, people die physically, or people kill. Do you understand what that means?
And now Donald Trump, as he campaigns for president once again, is publicly acknowledging that one of the main reasons for Washington's coup attempt against Venezuela is to take its oil. Trump said this openly on June 10th at a speech for a convention organized by the North Carolina Republican Party.
Venezuela. How about we're buying oil from Venezuela? When I left, Venezuela was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. It would have been right next door. But now we're buying oil from Venezuela, so we're making a dictator very rich. Can you believe it?
So to all you white folks, all you Cracker Barrels, this is your superpowers and shit. Like you feel superior than other people, but this is how you this is your success. This is how you justify success. You Christmas Christians, you worshipers of white Jesus, who quote unquote is, I believe, Lucifer, Satan. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm seeing it clearly, right? I know you guys are gonna hate that shit, but it's a fact. I can show you. You guys, you're not noticing. You're not noticing. This is not success. You didn't earn none of this. You steal. You fucking take what's not yours. How does that make you better than other people?
If this, nobody can believe it.
Now, this might not be too much of a surprise.
Let me pause you there because this same economist, I believe he's an economist. He brings up really good points here, and I want to show you guys, man, because now
if they try to kill,
now we're clear because this is 2 years ago. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Like this is 2 years ago. Okay. Let me. Matter of fact, let me forward here. And let me let it play.
When he was president, he did an interview on Fox News in which Trump boasted that the U.S. was stealing Syria's oil. And he boasted that Trump left hundreds of U.S. soldiers in Syria, in its oil-rich territory, in order to militarily occupy the country illegally and steal its oil.
And then they say he left troops in Syria. You know what I did? I left troops to take the oil. I took the oil. The only troops I have are taking the oil. They're protecting the oil. I took over.
We're taking the oil. We're not taking the oil.
Well, maybe we will. Maybe we won't.
They're protecting the facility.
I don't know. Maybe we should take it. But we have the oil right now.
So the man-looking one over there is like, I mean, let me correct you. They're taking the. We're not taking it. Yeah, you took it. This is your greatness? By stealing? We're going to see pretty soon how what happens to people like that. We're seeing it now to this day. Because I don't know about you guys, man, and I've talked to brothers out there, you know what I'm saying? Thank you very much, for your time. I appreciate you, when we talk, brothers, thank you. But a lot of you guys are doing decent. Taking care of your families, doing your thing. Oh, praises, bro. A lot of these people are not. And that says something. Let's continue with this.
The United States has the oil. So they say he left troops in Syria. No, I got rid of all of them other than we're protecting the oil. We have the oil.
And other members of the Donald Trump administration made similar comments. Trump's neoconservative national security advisor, John Bolton, spilled the beans right at the beginning of the coup attempt in January 2019. In an interview on Fox News, John Bolton said that the U.S. wanted to control Venezuela's oil and that U.S. corporations were in discussions with the government.
We're looking at the oil assets. That's the single most important income stream to the government of Venezuela. We're looking at what to do to that. We want everybody to know we're looking at all this very seriously. We don't want any American businesses or investors caught by surprise. They can see what President Trump did yesterday. We're following through.
See? Investors? Yeah, they need to pick themselves up by their own bootstraps, bro, but they can't. You gotta take and steal, bro. What the fuck? Investors? Really? I had said that there is a a couple years ago, back in 2023, I had said that there was a similarity going on in Gaza that's about to go on here. And I said that, there's this potentiality of them going to war, with the gente. I was saying Mexico, but at the same time, I knew that there was other purposes behind that. You know what I'm saying? So my exclusion of saying, oh, well, I should have said Colombia when I thought about it, but I didn't. I was just saying Mexico. That's where the WW3 would start. But now we're not seeing it that way. These guys, Trompetas declared it. He said he declared war. He said he's gonna fucking go on land and shit. And this is 2 years ago. I thought I had the video from recent. Let me look for it because I want to show you this.
So if you think of a company like Citgo, which is owned by PDVSA, which is the state-run oil company there in Venezuela, we have a lot of those Citgo assets right here in the U.S. Is that something, for example, sir, that you're looking at?
Yeah, well, we're in conversation with major American companies now that are either in Venezuela or, in the case of Citgo, here in the United States. I think we're trying to get to the same end result here. Venezuela is one of the three countries I call the troika of tyranny. It'll make a big difference to the United States economically if we could have American oil companies really invest in and produce the oil capabilities in Venezuela. It'd be good for the people of Venezuela. It'd be good for the people of the United States. We both have a lot at stake here, making this come out the right way.
It'd be good for the people of Venezuela. Hey, let me rape you, and then, you know what I mean? Like, you can just be my bitch. Nah, fuck no. Okay, so that's 2 years ago. And watch what he says not that long ago. Interesting stuff. I'm going to show you just a little bit of the beginning. And then, hold on a second. And then I'm going to show you over here. This section is important. Hold on, this one. Wait, where are you at? This one right here. Okay, so let's play a little bit here.
So Maria Corina Machado, who just won this Nobel Peace Prize, she literally is she's lobbying for the U.S. military to invade her country. It sounds like a joke, but the BBC interviewed her right after she won the Nobel Peace Prize. And in the interview, she called for the U.S. military to invade Venezuela, calling for war. This could cause a civil war. If the U.S. military intervenes, if there is bombing of Caracas, if they try to kill Maduro, which they're talking about, Trump confirmed that he's
authorize the CIA to carry out bird operations. If they kill Maduro, it could
Attendance list or
literally
something
cause
of
a
the
civil
sort.
war.
But
I think this
clearly-
is very, very dangerous what's happening in Venezuela, and we should follow very closely what's happening.
This is Ben Norton. He's a journalist, a geopolitical analyst, and popular YouTuber who has extensive experience living and working in both Latin America and China. In today's interview, I sit down with Ben to talk about the potential escalation and war between the United States and Venezuela.
Fans and our different channels, but it's so exciting to finally get a chance to chat.
Having me, Cyrus. I love your videos. And this is a great place to start because it's actually related to China. You know, It's clear that the United States is waging a new Cold War. You can call it Cold War II, the second Cold War. And China is the main target of that. Russia is a target. And we see that with the proxy war in Ukraine, which is not simply a war between Russia and Ukraine.
That's why I showed you earlier regarding the BRICS, right? Because the relationship that they want to have with Venezuela, that's another reason too. I should have said 3, but anyways, that's another reason too. They want to block all access to all those other nations. They want to implement Monroe Doctrine once again. They've talked about it. We need to implement them, we have every right under the Monroe. Pay attention to when they say Monroe. That's what they mean. Monroe Doctrine, or when they say Monroe Act. I think they've said it once that way. That's what they're talking about. Because supposedly, through that, well, not supposedly, that doctrine basically says that no other nation can invade this continent. And they consider you investing money as a foreign nation into this. Like, let's say if you're a foreign nation trying to invest money into this nation, back in the day, they considered it as a threat. There's no flexibility lately, but they want to implement that shit again.
It's a war between NATO and Russia, and the U.S. is the leader of NATO.
Right.
And in the case of this new Cold War, of course, Russia is the target, but the main target is China. And that's because, as Marco Rubio said in his Senate confirmation hearing, when he was appointed by the Senate, when he was nominated, Trump nominated him and the Senate appointed.
I also think about when I mentioned that when the predator is becoming prey, you know how they get. We're talking about war. Economic war with China, economic war with Russia, political war with Mexico, physical war with Venezuela, physical war with Gaza. Don't tell me it's Israel. No, fuck no. U.S. has given Israelis all those weapons. So technically it's U.S. against Gaza. So all of you Americans that vote, right? Whether you're Democratic or Republican, you're going to pay for those lives. You want to know why? Because you would have voted for Kamala Harris, who would have done the same fucking shit. Probably not as ugly. She married into that whole thing. Oh, no, you don't believe it? Yes, believe it. IPAC funded their... Come on, man, stop it. You guys, don't be stupid. Whether left or right, it doesn't matter. Look at everything behind that. Those are just distractions, man. So now check this out, okay? Here's where it gets, where I like what he says. Here goes.
One of the reasons that Venezuela is being targeted. Venezuela is one of the closest allies of China in the region. In fact, recently, President Xi had a meeting with President Maduro, and they upgraded their relations to an all-weather comprehensive strategic partnership at the same level as Pakistan. And we know, obviously, that Pakistan and China are very close. Pakistan plays a key role in the Belt and Road Initiative, in the CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Venezuela has become another very important partner of China, and especially because of the aggressive U.S. sanctions on Venezuela. Venezuela has not been able to export a lot of its oil to many countries, so China imports the majority of Venezuela.
You see now the point? Keep them away. Make these people suffer. I want to take your shit now. And if you look, listen. You know what's so funny? The Democratic side ain't saying shit about it, fam. Democrats aren't seeing nothing. Where are you, Democrats? Where are you? You're part of the same shit. You don't hear no fucking Crockett or AOC or all of these other Newman. You don't see them talking about like that's crazy. No, Because they also see the end, that the end is near. They see it. Let's continue.
Venezuela's oil. So it's not just about Venezuela and not just about its oil. It's about this larger geopolitical strategy of cutting off Latin America from China and also Russia. You know, Russia doesn't have a lot of economic ties with Latin America, but it does have political ties, especially with Venezuela, another country that's very close to China and Russia and Iran. So, you know, all of the big U.S. boogeymen that the U.S. is trying to isolate, you know, Venezuela is kind of this perfect storm. And then you bring in the oil issue, right? So Venezuela has the largest oil reserves on earth. Now, a lot of that oil is very heavy crude. It needs a lot of processing, but it's not like the light sweet crude that, you know, is where people are really going after, especially, you know, in Saudi Arabia and the Gulf. But, you know, there's a lot of potential in Venezuela.
And I want you to pay attention to this too, because the shit that I hate is fucking propaganda. Okay, especially that lady that got the fucking trophy and shit. Man. And then she goes and tries to give it to Donald Trump and shit.
This so-called Nobel Peace Prize winner, Maria Corina Machado, who has been funded by the U.S. government for many decades, since at least 2003, her organizations have been getting funding from the National Endowment for Democracy, which is a CIA cutout. The co-founder of the NED, Alan Weinstein, admitted in the Washington Post that it was created in the Reagan administration to essentially to do what the CIA had done covertly, but instead to do it overtly. We know that the NED has funded, you know, opposition groups trying to carry out coups and regime change operations in China and Russia and Iran and Venezuela and Cuba and all the countries targeted by the US for regime change, right? All the famous color revolutions like we saw in Ukraine in 2004 and 2014. We saw that in Venezuela in 2002 and 2014, 2017, 2019, and once again, it's happening now. Maria Corina Machado, she admitted in an interview in February with Donald Trump Jr. that she wants to take power, overthrow Maduro, and privatize all of the oil in Venezuela and sell it off to U.S. companies. U.S. companies used to actually control a lot of the oil in Venezuela, especially ExxonMobil and Shell. Well, Shell is not a U.S. company, but, you know, it's Western oil companies. And what happened is that in 1998, the people of Venezuela elected this left-wing nationalist leader, Hugo Chavez, who created what he called the Bolivarian Revolution. Now, sometimes people used about this are like, what does this have to do with Bolivia? Well, it's a reference to Simón Bolívar, who was the revolutionary general in the 19th century who created an army and who defeated the Spanish Empire and liberated several current countries, including Venezuela, Colombia, Bolivia. Bolivia is named after Simón Bolívar. These were part of the Spanish Empire, right? And those modern countries, that they exist because of Bolívar's revolutionary war against the Spanish Empire. So essentially, Chavez was influenced by this legacy of Bolívar, and he declared the Bolivarian Revolution, and he declared there was a constitutional referendum that was voted on by the Venezuelan people. 3/5 voted to create a new constitution, a very progressive constitution. It also changed the name of the country to the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. Everywhere you go, I mean, I've been to Venezuela several times. Everywhere you go, there are signs and murals of Simón Bolívar. I mean, he's just like this he's like the hero of South America.
Right.
So he also nationalized Hugo Chavez nationalized the oil and kicked out the U.S. oil corporations. So ever since then, you know, the U.S. has been desperate to get back into Venezuela. In 2002, the George W. Bush administration backed a violent coup attempt in April 2002. Chavez was briefly overthrown, but he was so popular that the people of Venezuela flooded the streets and they demanded that he be returned. Now, a few things happened that also was very advantageous to Venezuela. Venezuela was one of the first countries in Latin America to really grow very close to China because, you know, during the first Cold War, China did not have relations formally with almost any country in Latin America. You know, Cuba, Nicaragua briefly, you know, some left-wing governments, but, you know, most of the governments in Latin America during the first Cold War were right-wing dictatorships backed by the U.S. You know, Chile had the Pinochet dictatorship. There was Videla, the right-wing dictator in Argentina. They were all, you know, this was known as Plan Condor or Operation Condor. This is where, you know, the U.S. was like what it's trying to do now in the new Cold War, trying to impose its hegemony on the region. So after the first Cold War ended, China did establish relations with some countries.
Now let me show you this real quick because I think that it's imperative that we find out who this chick is. Why did she win the Nobel Prize? First of all, bro, like I tripped out. Me personally, I don't pay attention to that, but I wondered why they gave it to her. The world is a stage, right? So check this out. This is what I found out about this lady. So this is, and again, what I'm trying to do is put the picture, trying to speed up the process of what's going on right now. You know what I mean? Right? I'm just kind of like being the eyes and ears for our people in this particular subject. So here, this is called Venezuela analysis, right? No peace for activist Maria Corina Machado. Listen to what she says about that lady. Okay, hold on. I think it's right here. Let's go.
It is a civic military union that has proven to be very good and very effective to protect democracy. We saw it in 2002 when Hugo Chavez was briefly ousted of power. It was the people united with the military what brought Chavez back and what restored democracy in Venezuela. So no.
It's worth remembering that Maria Corina Machado was among those who signed that decree establishing the coup regime in the first place.
See this lady right here, La Machada, la pinche sellout. Well, maybe she's not a sellout. Maybe she's one of them. You know, just wearing pigs outfits, because that's the way the other nations look at you. Latinos that claim Hispanics or so-called indigenous, you want to be white, they look at you like pigs because like they see you as mixed. You're a mixed breed. You ain't like me, bro. You know what I'm saying? You ain't like me. But anyway, let's stick to the point. Hold on, let me read this real quick. Hey, what up, brother? I forgot to say what's up, dude. It says, I still laugh at Chavez's speech at the United Nations. He was talking about Bush and saying that that the devil was there and he smelled sulfur. Yeah, I remember that, dude. That shit was funny. Huele a sulfur. I don't know how he said it. I could smell it. You dirty bastard. Probably he just smelled his fucking, because he didn't shower for like 5 days, bro. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like, whatever. Anyways, let's continue.
I love how she tries to claim that it's merely an attendance list or something of the sort, but clearly was part of the entire opposition narrative, speaking of militarization, that used the armed forces to oust the democratically elected president, Hugo Chavez, briefly detaining him on an island for 2 days until he was rescued precisely by the civic military union that you're talking about.
Absolutely. So she signed the Carmona Decree. That is what it's called. And the Carmona Decree basically, it erased the Venezuelan constitution, a constitution that it erased it in favor of the previous constitution, the one that was before Chavez, in which indigenous communities didn't have any identity, any rights. So that's the constitution that they favored, the ones where indigenous communities were completely erased. And they also dissolve all public.
See that? You see that? So the people that claim to be Colombianos and shit, and for the people of the land, were also the ones saying, no, I don't want those rights to be privileged to these fucking Indios, because, like, you know, you see what goes on, family, and who's in power, and who's trying to, like, you know, topple this shit, bro. I mean, it's obvious, man. They said it. Look, listen, he fucking, come on, bro. Say me lying, dude. Like, this is obvious. And all you Cracker Barrels that want to say, like, oh, we're so great and, you know, we're so magnificent and, you know, eugenics. Look at me. I run a 4.5. This is funny. Bro, it's silly to me, man. This is how you get ahead or this is how you stay alive? Which one is it? You complain about your like deep state people. Oh, deep state. We got to get rid of deep state. Well, guess what? Deep state does this shit. If it wasn't for deep state, all you U.S. citizens, listen to this. Especially you know, Cracker Barrels like that are going back to that land. Stop talking shit about deep state, because if it wasn't for deep state, you wouldn't have anything. Do you understand? If it wasn't for deep state, you wouldn't have anything. Stop biting the hand that feeds you.
And democratic institutions. I mean, that's the type of thing that Maria Corina has always favored.
And with the stroke of a pen, which is the part that really kind of blows my mind, for all of their claims to defense of democracy, we're talking about somebody who found it easy to sign on to a process that quite literally changed the name of the country back to its old colonial name before it became the Bolivarian Revolution, destroyed the constitution that was product of a wide-ranging, deep discussion with the population that was approved in a referendum, that dissolved all elected bodies, not just the presidency, all of the 5 branches of government. I mean, it's quite, that alone is enough to tell you who Maria Corina Machado is and what she actually represents. But there's actually, of course, so
There's
much
a lot more. Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot more. I mean, that takes me to the third criteria that the Nobel Prize Committee said, and that is that her support for a peaceful transition to democracy. So let's break it down. As we said, in 2002, she helped consolidate the coup that briefly ousted President Hugo Chavez, and she signed the decree that dissolved all public and democratic institutions. In 2005, she traveled to Washington to meet with President George Bush and to ask him to overthrow the Chavez government through a military intervention.
Let me ask you a question. If you're so great, why the fuck do you fuck with other people? It's like we're running a race, man, and you're like messing with me, and I'm in my lane. Like, bro, stay in your lane, bro. No, it don't work like that with y'all, does it?
In 2014 and 2017, she supported violent street protests that killed a lot of people. I mean, people usually don't remember that these protests actually ended up in killing a lot of innocent people. One of them is actually a young man who was called Orlando Figuera, and he was burned alive in 2017 because of these violent protests that Maria Corina Machado supported, financed, and promoted in Venezuela, all with the aim.
See that? So why would these Peace Prize win? Peace Prize. Okay, so let me show you what they're talking about. Because, you know, some of y'all are a little slow and shit. No offense, but, you know, Peace Prize, I think. Winner 2025. So as you can see. Where's she at? This fucking demon here. Okay? They're talking about her.
Peace Prize 2025 goes to a brave and committed champion of peace, to a woman who keeps the flame of democracy burning amidst a growing darkness. The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 to Maria Corina Machado.
See? The same woman that had many people killed. You give that fucking bitch the Peace Prize?
But to answer the question specifically, I will also say that no, the Venezuelan society is not militarized. On the contrary, what we have, everybody believes, are extrajudicial killings.
The entire opposition narrative, speaking of militarization, that used the armed forces to oust the democratically elected president, Hugo Chavez, briefly detained. The part that really kind of blows my mind. For all of their claims to defense of democracy, we're talking about somebody who found it easy to sign on to a process that quite literally changed the name of the country back to its old colonial name before it became the Bolivarian Revolution, destroyed the constitution that was product of a wide-ranging, deep discussion with the population that was approved in a referendum, that dissolved all elected bodies, not just the presidency, all of the 5 branches of government. I mean, it's quite, that alone is enough to tell you who Maria Corina Machado is and what she actually represents. But there's actually, of course, so much more.
There's a lot more. Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot more. I mean, that takes me to the third criteria that the Nobel Prize Committee said, and that is that her support for a peaceful transition to democracy. So let's break it down. As we said, in 2002, she helped consolidate the coup that briefly ousted President Hugo Chavez, and she signed the decree that dissolved all public and democratic institutions. In 2005, she traveled to Washington to meet with President George Bush and to ask him to overthrow the Chavez government through a military intervention. In 2014 and 2017, she supported violent street protests that killed a lot of people. I mean, people usually don't remember that these protests actually ended up in killing a lot of innocent people. One of them is actually a young man who was called Orlando Figuera, and he was burned alive in 2017. Because of this violent protest that Maria Corina Machado supported, financed, and promoted in Venezuela, all with the aim of achieving power by force.
The Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 goes to a brave and committed champion of peace, to a woman who keeps the flame of democracy burning amidst a growing darkness. The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 to Maria Corina Machado. She is receiving the Nobel Peace Prize for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela, and for her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy.
Not
Then
just once,
also, yeah.
but twice, in 2014
Yes.
and in 2017.
And promoted in Venezuela, all with the aim of achieving power by force.
And not
Then
just once,
also, yeah.
but twice, in 2014
yes.
and in 2017. She was very much
Exactly.
active in that. That was her strategy. It wasn't win elections. It wasn't win support from the population. It was promote an insurrection and try to undemocratically oust the government.
Exactly. And then in that same year, in 2014, Machado went to Panama, and she addressed the Organization of American States and asked them for a multinational force to overthrow the Maduro government. And she did this while she was a deputy, as a National Assembly deputy in Venezuela. So this was an act of treason against her country. Very fairly and very justly, she was stripped down of her position as a national deputy, and she was banned from holding public office because you cannot have someone who is going to address an international organization and say, oh, can you come please and intervene militarily in my country and put me in power, please? That's an act of treason that is unforgivable. So that is a ban that is being upheld even today. She cannot hold any public office.
I think it's funny how they try to use that as part of the arguments to say, oh, this is an authoritarian regime and they're limiting her ability to do X or Y. I think, no. There are consequences to your treasonous acts. Here, como decimos en español, right? Aquí en China, here and in China and all over the world, if you commit treason, there are consequences. And she's actually gotten off quite lightly in that regard. This is not about authoritarian. This is not about a crackdown against the opposition. It's about an undemocratic actor having to face the consequences of her undemocratic actions.
Indeed.
So then why would they give that woman the Peace Prize? The world is a stage. The world is a stage.
Sale Estados Unidos a decir que
The world is a stage, family. I have to tell you. Let me play it here. Let's listen to this for a moment.
González.
Ahora entonces sale Estados Unidos a decir que Venezuela tiene otro presidente. Estados Unidos debe sacar sus narices de Venezuela porque el pueblo soberano es el que manda en Venezuela, el que pone, el que elige, el que dice, el que decide.
Así el tono de Maduro,
fuerte.
que saque las narices. También Maduro reveló que alista 2 cárceles de máxima seguridad para encerrar a los manifestantes detenidos durante las protestas por su reelección. En una reunión con empresarios transmitidas por el canal estatal VT, calificó a los participantes en la propuesta como terroristas y delincuentes y hasta los acusó de ser criminales entrenados en Estados Unidos, Colombia, Perú y Chile.
Los guarimberos, estos criminales, tenemos más de 1.200 capturados y estamos buscando a 1.000 más. Los vamos a agarrar toditos, porque a ellos los entrenaron en Estados Unidos, en Texas, en Colombia, en Perú y en Chile. Quemaron más de 300 módulos policiales en el país. ¿Por qué? El módulo policial lo que le presta es vigilancia a la ciudadanía, protección. Se tomaban un video, porque ahora es el golpe cibernético. Este es el primer golpe cibernético de la historia de la humanidad. Porque ellos creían, estaban borrachos, drogados, por la mentira que tenían en la cabeza. Se transmitieron todo. La gente, los transeúntes los grabaron. Y con los videos no los pelamos, los estamos agarrando uno detrás del otro. Y no va a haber perdón esta vez. Con mi corazón de hombre de paz y cristiano digo, esta vez no va a haber perdón. Estoy preparando 2 cárceles que debo tener listo en 15 días. Ya estaban reparándose. Y todos los guarimberos van para Tocorón y Tocuyita, cárceles de máxima seguridad.
No va a haber perdón, dice Maduro, y ya prepara 2 cárceles de máxima seguridad. También ayer la Sala Electoral del Tribunal Supremo de Venezuela convocó a los 10 candidatos a la presidencia a comparecer hoy como parte de una investigación solicitada por Maduro, que algunos dicen es una trampa, lo que buscan es detener a los opositores. Por ello, la Sala Electoral convocó a Edmundo González, el abanderado de la oposición, Javier Bertucci, entre otros, además de Nicolás Maduro, para las 2 de la tarde de este viernes. Por otra parte, María Corina Machado informó que actualmente ella se encuentra en resguardo ante el riesgo de ser detenida. En sus redes, la política llamó a los venezolanos a participar el próximo sábado, esto es mañana, en manifestaciones en todas las ciudades de Venezuela.
Y ahora vamos a cobrar. Por eso hay que mantenernos firmes, organizados y movilizados, con el orgullo de haber logrado un triunfo histórico el 28 de julio y la conciencia que para cobrar también vamos hasta el final. Este sábado, 3 de agosto, nos encontramos todos en familia, con nuestros hijos, nietos, abuelos, en todas las ciudades de Venezuela a las 10 de la mañana.
I'm disgusted by the fact that people believe the bullshit for her peace prize and shit, man. You know, they don't really know the inside information, like what really is occurring. You guys only listen to this stuff on the surface level, bro, and you guys really believe this bullshit, man. This bitch is a fucking demon, bro.
En Caracas, en la avenida principal de las Mercedes, porque vamos a hacer un tributo a cada uno de esos héroes que hicieron valer y defender la voluntad del pueblo venezolano el pasado 28 de julio y que hoy el régimen persigue, porque vamos a hacer valer la verdad y porque el mundo va a ver la fuerza y la determinación de una sociedad decidida a vivir en libertad.
Remember I told you guys before, like, they hate you, but then they kind of want to be you. This is nuts, bro. Like, I can't believe they gave her this shit. This is. Let me listen to this one more time. This is funny.
The Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 goes to a brave and committed champion of peace, to a woman who keeps the flame of democracy burning amidst a growing darkness. The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 to Maria Corina Machado.
At this point, y'all should have just with the Trump. Straight up, bro. Because look what they're saying now, man. Look what they're saying now. Like, you gotta pay attention. I'm gonna let this play for a little bit because this is important. I'm not gonna let this slip by. You guys need to hear this right here, and I don't know, man. I don't know how many ways from here to Seattle I gotta say it and shit. You know, like they really are trying to take advantage of our people, fam. And it's sad because, you know, a lot of you guys think that the propaganda that you're receiving right now is the correct one. And like I said, it's propaganda. But, you know, who am I to know? What do I know, right? Who cares, right? What do I know? What do I know? I think I know something. Let's go.
Let's get to Venezuela. There's a lot of moving parts, but the major breaking news, President Trump from the Oval Office yesterday saying that he will soon notify Congress that land strikes on Venezuela must begin. Let's take a listen.
Legal authority if they do come?
Yes, we do. We have legal authority, right? We're allowed to do that. And if we do by land, we may go back to Congress. But we have, this is a national security problem. They killed 300,000 people last year. These drugs coming in. They killed 300,000 Americans last year, and that gives you legal authority. We have a national security, really, I will say this, when you look at the people we're dealing with, and we know them, we know the people coming in, we know the boats, we know everything else, we're allowed to do it. It's in international waters. If we don't do it, we're going to lose hundreds of thousands of people. Now, they'll be coming in by land a little bit more because they're not coming in by boat anymore. There are no boats in the water. There are no more boats. We know the boat almost immediately. You know, it's pretty unusual when you see somebody with a fishing rod and 5 engines on the back of the boat. You know, you don't need that to go fishing. Wait. And we will hit them very hard when they come in by land. And they haven't experienced that yet, but now we're totally prepared to do that. We'll probably go back to Congress and explain exactly what we're doing when we come to land. We don't have to do that, but I think, Marco, I'd like to do that. You may respond to that.
So, yeah. Now we are going to come to the land. Let me just explain a little bit because the sea campaign has actually heated up over just the last 24 hours. There was a new announcement of a strike on drug traffickers, but actually in the Pacific, or alleged drug traffickers, I should say, that was actually in the Pacific Ocean. So this is now a 2-ocean front war. Now, I mean, what you look at from the expanding nature, not only of the boats, but of the rhetoric in terms of striking the land would obviously be a massive escalation. The reason why he says he has to notify Congress is all of this is currently being done under a drug interdiction mission, but none of it has actually been justified, presented with evidence. There is, frankly, I mean, look, Ryan and I are working on a big Venezuela story right now. I can't give away all the details. The one tidbit I can offer is that there is not one shred of evidence internally that fentanyl is on any single one of these boats. Not one piece of evidence that fentanyl is on these boats, which is, again, I mean, this is the rhetorical justification of the strike. By the way, what he says there about the boats, again, small tidbit that we can offer, these boats would have to stop and refuel some 20 times in order to get to the United States. The current intel is that they're not heading to the U.S., is that they're most likely heading to different places in the Caribbean, namely Trinidad and Tobago. By the way, everything I just said, Rand Paul also just echoed on TV, so I'm not giving anything in particular really away. I'm just telling you that that's based on our reporting, that's what we can able to offer you. So this is all part of a regime change operation. There's just no other way to
see, this is all part of a regime operation of transformation. Now, keep in mind that, you know, Trompeta's like, oh, they don't have to have 5 engines in the back of their boat. No, they have 3. And you could use 1 in a lake, 2 to go fast, 3 to deal with like, sea type, unless you have a big boat and a big ass engine. These are little boats. So if they want to go fast or if they need to go like they got to go like with speed, you could put 3 engines, and that doesn't mean that you're going to go across the whole fucking from like Venezuela to Florida, dude. What the fuck?
You describe it.
Yeah, they could have given it to Biden. Why not? Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like they wasted the. Nah, you know what? They should have given it to Trump, bro, instead of that dumbass or that wicked ass person. What I find so striking is the people involved, because it's not U.S. that gives those peace prices. It's Norway, like the Norwegian whatever council, whatnot. Like, we give it to her because of the fire that she has to push democracy or some shit, some democratic fire or some fucking crap like that.
Maduro quite literally offered up everything by Trump's own admission, in addition to numerous reported outlets about some of the behind-the-scenes talk. So this is, look, this is where things are trending right now. Trump genuinely believes the best way to get access to Venezuelan oil is to overthrow the government. The drug thing is a pretext. It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It has to do with minerals, which we'll show you here in a little bit. But it's scary. It's scary.
I told you, my friends.
I'm not arrogant. I'm on a power trip. I'm in a total commitment against evil. I'm pouring out my guts, my soul, my family, everything I've got committed to this, and I will not have pieces of fucking shit lie about me and say I'm not true. I will fucking destroy you, scum, all of you.
Sounds like eat 'em.
Payday. You want payday. I know that.
This is funny, man. Hold on a second, family.
Made by claim.
Hold on, no. No. I needed to share that. It's amazing how these guys are, fam. I'll tell you, I didn't really put no like notes and shit into this like thing that I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to share this with you guys, man. But I do have a very good topic coming up, and I've kind of been looking at it from different angles. I cannot let go of the Mithra, the similarities of these religions, and I found even more dirt on the dirt. Like, how can you find dirt on dirt like this? Yeah, exactly, dude. Like, the fuck? What do you mean?
Who are you?
I don't know, man. Shit's getting very intense, especially when you consider this, and if you think about your family and the well-being of them and the cost of living and the cost of stuff. Matter of fact, look, I put $50 into my car today, and I figured it'll give me at least 75%, maybe 80, 90% of like the tank. Nah, it didn't even get there. Like 60. And again, keep in mind that there's other countries that are paying a lot less for merchandise than we are now. And that was never, ever before the case.
Scary.
There are a few things to pick up on from his comments. So let's be clear. What they're doing is random murder in terms of attacking these boats. I mean, the few details that we've had at this point.
What up, bro? What up, Joe? Enemías, buenos días. It's all good, man. Don't trip. You guys can always watch it again.
Some of the people who were murdered, who have been identified, were like...
Mostly talking about the whole situation with Venezuela, and I'm not really getting into any other thing here. A couple of scriptures here and there, and that's it. But, mostly about like what's really occurring and shit. Let's go.
Fishermen. So
and how it's been planned for ages, and how it's repetitive with other countries. They're trying to do it again. They did it to Panama. They did it to Afghanistan. They're doing it. They're trying to do it now to Venezuela again.
Maybe some of them are drug traffickers. We don't know that literally any of them are, and they have now killed dozens of people without offering a shred of evidence that these are even the individuals that.
Well, now you know how they say terrorists, shoot them, right? Then they're saying that now. So it's like they're saying narco terrorists. Now they're saying narco terrorists. Before they were narcos, and then the ones over there were terrorists. Now they're saying narco terrorists. So fuck you and fuck them too.
They claim, and Sagar and Ryan's reporting that they have zero evidence internally that any of these boats have fentanyl on them, even though that is what they are telling the American public. That is in and of itself a bombshell. That's number one. Number two, when he says they're going to come to the land, maybe we'll go to Congress. We don't have to go to Congress. Maybe we'll go to Congress. Let's be really clear about what that means. So right now we have random murder of potential fishermen in, the Caribbean and in the Pacific. What he's proposing is random murder of people here on the land. That's what that expansion means. So they are trying to claim the power to unilaterally just murder random people that they announce to the public are drug traffickers without providing evidence. That is the power that they are trying to claim. Maybe they'll go to Congress and maybe they won't, because Trump doesn't seem to think that they have to. So that's number two. Number three, let me read to you what Pete Hegseth tweeted out in response to announce this latest murder at sea. He says, because some of the language here is very important. So he says, today at the direction of President Trump, the Department of War carried out yet another lethal kinetic strike on a vessel operated by a designated terrorist organization, DTO. Yet again, the now deceased terrorists were engaged in narco trafficking in the Eastern Pacific. We're just supposed to take their word for that, by the way. The vessel was known by our intelligence to be involved in illicit narcotic smuggling, was transiting along a known narco trafficking route, and was carrying narcotics. 3 male narco terrorists were aboard the vessel during the strike, which was conducted in international waters. All 3 terrorists were killed and no U.S. forces were harmed in this strike. These strikes will continue day after day. These are not simply drug runners. These are narco terrorists bringing death and destruction to our cities. These DTOs are the Al-Qaeda of our hemisphere and will not escape justice. We will find them and kill them until the threat to the American people is extinguished. So that language there, saying these are the Al-Qaedas of our hemisphere, that is the pretext, the linguistic pretext that they're trying to use and convince you of to allow them this unconscionable power grab. That's the way they're framing it. And I think, the regime change part is terrifying. Like, everyone should be very concerned about.
What's my thoughts on them getting involved? Fuck, I don't know, bro. Like, that's crazy shit. It's. I think if you look at it from scripture perspective, yeah, it was expected. Because remember, the other nations would turn on the Babylon. You know what I'm saying? Babylon. And like every other nation, matter of fact, I'm gonna show you guys 2 videos and then we'll be done. Like every other nation, there's a beginning and an end. And every single one of them, for some reason, goes through the same pattern. And this is why we go back, we go back to the go back. We go back to the go back. When I first started this class, I read Ecclesiastes 3:15. It says that which has not, hold on, I read it simpler. Whatever happens or can happen has already happened before. God makes the same thing happen again and again and again and again and again. So if God makes the same thing happen again and again and again and again, does that mean we only have one life? That's it? That's why when you read Ecclesiastes 1 verse 1 through 9, it talks about the cycles of life. And the understanding that, we focus on some dumb shit and don't realize like how many things we have to deal with. Verse 9 says, Ecclesiastes 1:9, what happened before will happen again. Matter of fact, I like to read it in this way because that one doesn't really say it like how it's really saying. So let me doesn't translate it the way I think it's the best way. Verse 9, the thing that had been, this is in King James, is that what shall be? Meaning the thing, like the past is currently going on right now. And that which is done, and like today, right now, what we're doing, right, is that what shall be done. That this is going to happen in the future. And there's no new thing under the sun. So like, who are these humans that come back and repeat themselves? Or like, are we just new humans and shit? That's not what the scriptures talk about, because they mention about immortality. So, you know, I'm not trying to say getting into the whole spirituality of it. What I'm talking about is that this is repetitive. It's nothing new.
About that, but it should also be very concerning to you what they're already doing and the powers that they're claiming for not only these attacks on boats, but now trying to claim for here domestically on U.S. soil.
Yes, you're exactly right. It is literally just GWAT logic, GWAT rhetoric. And in some cases, the new rhetoric is actually more extreme than the GWAT, because at no time during the war in Iraq, even when we were spreading democracy, apparently, to Iraq and Afghanistan, did people come to the airwaves and say that Iraq should be the 51st state. But did not put that past Lindsey Graham and Sean Hannity on Fox News. Let's take a listen.
I had a chat with you this weekend. I thought you had a pretty darn good idea, and you said you were going to share it with the president. I want to know if you did, and that is this opposition leader in Venezuela that won the Nobel Prize that said it really deserved to go to Donald Trump. Sounds like a pretty good leader to me for the people of Venezuela, and the end of narco-terrorism and a better relationship with the U.S. Or if they choose maybe the 51st state, I don't know.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me. 51st state of Venezuela. So, you know, we can't simultaneously be for mass deportation of Venezuelan migrants. What does Trump always say? He's like, they opened up the asylums, they opened up the jails, and they sent them here. So we're going to send them back, and then we're going to create them to turn them into a 51st, and then they're all going to be citizens. Okay. Let's not to mention the fact that it would cause mass illegal migration, even if there was some sort of regime collapse. Again, I don't want to get too ahead of the story Ryan and I are working on, but we have some bombshell stuff that we can report. The intel stuff, frankly, is some of the least interesting. But the point I just want to stick to is there is no evidence that Maduro is actually like a large-scale drug trafficker, number one. Number two, there's no fentanyl on any of these boats. Number three, these boats, all the current intelligence not even show that they're necessarily heading for the United States. Number four, all of the powers that are being claimed by the administration are ones that the George W. Bush presidency and the Obama presidency used as sweeping powers to be able to drone strike and kill whoever they want. And five is actually Congress, because the thing is that nobody's really doing anything about this inside of Congress. Like, look, this is, I always say this, the true threat to America is real bipartisanship. The stuff that everybody just comes 98-0 votes on, things like regime change in Iraq, Afghanistan, Ukraine, and you only have a few shit stirs like Rand Paul and Thomas Massie willing to speak out. That's the real danger to the country. I don't see any large-scale demonstration or, you know, people like, look, I'll give credit where it's due, but like, let's be honest, it's like a minority congressman, a minority caucus in a minority, in a minority ruling party of the House has no power to do anything. Like, there's no stand-up about authorities here. It's very scary, and it's moving much quicker. Again, I really don't think that the media is covering this properly. Like, nobody points to the fact. So a United States senator saying Venezuela should be a 51st state combined with a regime change operation should freak everybody. It should be front page international news. Yes. And everyone's just like, oh yeah. I mean, we just struck it's a two-ocean war now. Like, when's the last time the United States even did a two-ocean strike? I don't even know.
And maybe, just maybe, the opposition party should have something to say about that. Yeah. You know, I mean, you have a few outliers like
All right, so I wanted him to mention that because now I'm going to show you what they mean.
Now to President Trump's expanding military campaign against drug trafficking in South America.
Last night, we reported that the president's attacks on suspected drug boats have widened from the Caribbean Sea to the Pacific Ocean. Today, Mr. Trump warned strikes on land will be next.
Here's senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata.
2 long-range B-1 bombers flew near Venezuela today in the latest demonstration of U.S. military might. Below them, on Venezuela's coast, President Nicolas Maduro's army showed off its own hardware. President Trump said the military is planning to go beyond just striking Venezuelan-linked drug boats in the region.
So now they're coming in by land, and even the land is concerned because I told them that's going to be next. You know, the land is going to be next.
The administration has also set its sights on the drug supply coming out of Colombia. Video released last night is said to show the second strike in as many days on a suspected drug-running boat off the coast in the Pacific, killing 3 individuals. Today, CBS News' Lilia Luciano spoke with Colombian President Gustavo Petro about the strikes and if drug traffickers were on the boats, as the Trump administration claims.
You don't call them traffickers, the people who are being targeted. You call them workers of trafficking.
Killing the workers of the business is easy, but if you want efficiency, you have to capture the bosses of the business.
Petro went on to argue that the U.S. strikes are illegal. President Trump, who has blamed President Petro for failing to rein in the cartels, said today the administration is not going to put up with it much longer.
You got a lousy leader over there right now, bad guy, a thug, but...
So Donald Trump calls him a thug, even though that guy's a major economist, president too, and compared to somebody that's been convicted of 34 counts of fucking shit. Like actual 30, you've been convicted, and you call him a thug. You're a thug. Technically, you guys call us thugs if we have records, right? So what are you? What are you? Thug.
They make cocaine at levels that we've never seen.
Oh, here's the problem. It's not about who makes the cocaine. It's the fucking people that sniff the shit, bro. You depend on other people to raise your children, and then all of a sudden you wonder why your children are not fucking sane. And then when they go insane, you blame other people for their insanity. I don't fucking get it. Maybe Jeremiah. I don't know. I think one of the scriptures. I think I had one. I think Isaiah 47. I don't know, man. I was thinking of one that said, well, they're drinking the cup now because we're going to see some shit.
Before.
Asked today whether he would seek congressional approval to declare war in Latin America, President Trump said he didn't think he needed a declaration of war be necessary. He said, quote, "We're just going to kill all the people that are bringing drugs."
Just going to kill all you Mexicans. Because you guys ain't shit. You say, we're just going to kill them. Like we don't mean nothing, bro. Like, our gente from Venezuela doesn't mean anything. That they're fucking animals. Who talks like that? Israelis, these fake Jews and shit. They talk like that about Palestinians. They call them terrorists. They're calling you terrorists. I mean, it's not clear enough. Before we go any further, I want to put a message. I appreciate this brother doing this thing. I wish you guys were, well, it don't matter. Whatever. Anyways, let's go.
And even mestizos are more American than the average so-called American.
If you are Mexican, and if you look like me, you are not an alien. You are a Native American, separated from your true roots.
Indigenous people from Mexico and...
Now, I like that because it's to the point. And just like what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to say to the point, because you know what? This is a great point right here. This whole, like, people like to bring up this book out, right? They love to talk about Jesus. They like to go here and say, which one is it? This one, I think. Nah, I'll go to this famous one. They like to go here all the time. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. That's Christianity for you. Right? Okay. I'm going to tell you something, family. This lady right here made a good fucking point. She made a good damn darn point, bro. Because I remember having conversations with my wife about like, damn, you know, like, I don't know what it would be like to have a child that, you know, was experiencing those things, you know what I'm saying? Like homosexuality and all that shit, right? Like I don't know, like, man, that must be hard. I said, that must be hard, right? Like that must be hard. I don't, you know, it must be difficult. So she goes and says this right here.
This one's gonna ruffle some feathers, but fuck it, it's when.
Hey, listen, this is fucking great. She made a great point. Pay attention, family. I'm gonna pay it twice because I want to. It's like, yo, brother Joe, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's things that we all kind of like experience in our lives and shit. Maybe we've seen some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we've seen some stuff. Maybe we know of a cousin or some shit like that goes through this stuff, right? But she made a good point because the right side of these, you know, Christian nationalists, right? They always talk about that. I guess homosexuality is an option. You know, like for example, Nick Fuentes said having sex with women is gay. Okay, so that's a fact. That you can never erase that. Okay, so then now pay attention to this.
This one's.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. And then Mike Johnson, like he watches his son, like he monitors his son, and he lets his son monitor his phone, so they don't go on apps to look at homosexual shit. Pay attention. Let's go.
Gonna ruffle some feathers, but fuck it, it's Wednesday. Why not? Have you ever heard a conservative person, specifically a conservative man, say that sexuality is a choice, that these people are choosing to be gay? Okay, you've also
there. As soon as she said that, I go, oh shit! Like, you don't choose to be gay. Now, maybe look, listen, man. I have some relatives that are like art. And they were like that since they were fucking kids, bro. And I can't explain that. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not like they were totally fucking normal like you and I. Well, not normal. I don't want to say it like that. Like you and I, you know, whatever. And all of a sudden, bam, you find out. Like, you don't know. But here, I like the fact that she said that they make it sound like it's a choice. Now, why would you assume that it's a choice, right?
Also heard me say a person's perception of the external world is a direct reflection of their internal world. Hold on.
So what she's saying is that your perception of life is just a reflection of who you are. So when these, you know, right-wingers say, oh, it's a choice to be gay, like, wait. Whoa. Oh, let me slow it down. It's a choice? For you? Oh, you Christmas Christians, bro. Y'all are so tough, man. Y'all are so tough. You're so innovative. You're so eugenics and shit. It's fucking making me laugh.
Onto that for just a minute. If somebody says that sexuality is a choice, okay, it's because they are at the very least bisexual. Now hear me out. The reason why these conservative men think that gay people are making the choice to be gay is because they are making the choice to present as straight to the rest of the world. And they're pissed off about it too, which is why they're so angry, so volatile. Why they hate gay people so much, because these gay people are comfortable enough with who they are to live authentically. Y'all, they think it's possible because they're making the choice. Ooh. This one's
one more time, family. Just one more time. because I think it's a great example of like how sometimes what's the scripture? Come on, man. I asked you guys for one earlier. You guys didn't even give me that one. All right, so what is it called? What is the one? Abundance. Let me see. I think it's in. Hold on. I'm looking for out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speak it. I don't know if it's in Psalms or in Proverbs. Hold on. Of the heart. Well, I guess it reminded me of it. Matthew 12:34, O generation of vipers, how can ye, being evil, speaketh good things? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. What's the reference? Psalms 10:6 says, he had said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be an adversary. So it's like, like you are what you think about, basically. Yes, you know what I mean? Nah, I don't want to hear no more. I think I'm done on that shit. All right, fam. I got a couple more and then we're done. So now I'm gonna show you how. Look, listen. I'm gonna be real, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I talk to brothers, often. I haven't talked to you, Job, and I haven't talked to you, Warakuya, in a bit. It's all good, but I know that we just, we hustle. We continue to do our thing and we work. Let's listen to this shit right here. This is gonna blow your mind, bro. 20 minutes of laughter. Really? You guys, the same ones that were saying that our people were taking advantage of your shit? Please, bro.
December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Not only because it would just be good for everybody to see all the welfare queens be exposed for the deadbeat parents they absolutely are, but mostly because it would be really nice to just pay 30 to 40% less for all my goddamn groceries.
I keep hearing about these welfare queens that are going to get exposed because SNAP benefits have essentially been cut off because of the government shutdown, and how everybody who is not on SNAP is absolutely excited and thrilled because of the lazy.
Something about this video. Apparently, this lady talks and lets this image say. So that kind of seems weird. I'm not interested in what she's saying. Let's go with what the protocol is.
Food stamps, and one thing I kept seeing was that welfare was created for white people. I knew that it was created during the New Deal, so I did some more research because I didn't really know the whole story, and I thank you guys for responding and helping me learn stuff. So during the Great Depression is when we saw the beginning of things like Social Security, unemployment insurance. But here's the kicker. When Franklin Roosevelt built those programs, he had to make deals with Southern Democrats in Congress, the same folks who were big fans of Jim Crow.
Southern Democrats are Republicans now. They just switched when Lyndon Johnson was running for presidency.
To get the support of these racist white Southern politicians, the programs were designed to exclude farm workers, domestic workers, jobs held overwhelmingly by Black, Latino, and Indigenous people. So right from the start, Black and brown families were pushed out of benefits so that white people could get them. Then we move forward to the 1960s, and there's this war on poverty. It finally...
You see that? Again, didn't we just see the whole taking of land, the whole interest of land, the whole interest, wanting things that do not belong to you, that are not yours, that just, you know what I'm saying? Why are you being a thief, bro? Like, for real, bro? Why are you being a thief, bro?
We opened up welfare programs more broadly, and that's when food stamps became permanent. Well, permanent, we don't know what Trump's going to do to them, but they lasted a long time. And guess what? The minute more Black and brown families started accessing this help, the politics shifted. Welfare got a new image and a new target. By the 1980s and 90s, with Ronald Reagan and his gang, they pushed the welfare queen myth. That's a racist dog whistle meant to turn public opinion against safety nets by blaming Black women for poverty that white policies created. That's the truth, you guys. So yes, welfare was built for white people. And when others finally got in the door, they tried to burn the house down. If you want to blame the right people, you got to get curious.
The first person to use food stamps in the United States was Mabel McFiggin in Rochester, New York on May 16, 1939. According to the USDA, black people could not receive food.
Hey, it's all good, family. I got a message, a private message. It's all good, family. Like, you know what I'm saying? As soon as I started going against your fucking Jesus and shit, you guys got mad at me. And you don't even understand exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you don't. You just got emotional about this person here. About this theory. I'm not saying he wasn't here, family. I'm just telling you that they lied to us. I've been saying on my channel all this time, ever since I started my channel, one thing I hate is people lying to me, man. I fucking hate it. You see, this story was supposed to be unique. Kind of like, you know, your faith. It should be unique, right? No one else should be able to talk about it or reference it like they went through the same things at all. Because if that was the case, and you as a normal human being, you would fucking realize, like, wait a minute, that's kind of awkward. It's like nobody wants to get the same song dedicated to you. Like if I dedicate, I'm not trying to be funny, Joe, but let's say, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, fuck, I'm not going to say it like that. Let's say you and Joe, you're dating somebody and shit. I know you're married, but let's say you're dating somebody, bro. And you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, you dedicate a song to that, you know, that female and shit. And then, you know, then you go and dedicate the same song to another female. Like, bro, what the fuck? God, it's not unique. And so should this be. But it's not unique. So we have to wonder why it's not unique. Whose narrative is it trying to fit if it's not unique? Because if it's not unique, then it seems to me that you're trying to fit a narrative that is that is common to certain people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now that I'm looking at this, I'm looking at it like, yo, it's not unique, bro. Not unique to me. Because I'm looking at all this other stuff, and that's weird. But then now that I'm thinking about it, like, well, it's not meant for me. Because it's meant for the people that are common to that deity. Hate the channel, unsubscribe. I don't fucking care at this point, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because like I'm not going to stop going about my business, sharing the stuff that I share. Whether you guys like it or not, it don't matter to me, bro. You know what I'm saying? What I'm noticing is that you guys are not paying attention to what you're reading. You're criticizing the Christmas Christians, but at the same time, you're fucking you're still in their soup.
Stamps until 1964.
Trump has cut my food stamps from $2,800 down to $350.
Hey, brother Joe, are you still there or are you gone? Because or Warakuya. Let me know who's still here, because I want to ask you, one of you brothers right here, bro. What does this sound like to you, dude? This shit right here, bro. This shit twisted my stomach, bro. I can understand if maybe, you know, he's got like a really severe kid that, you know, that he needs to take care of, that his wife can't take care of, right? And, you know, because he needs to be lifted and all that shit. I've been there with my son. I get it. And they help you. You know, they give you some money for those, you know, for him being disabled. I get it, right? But it don't seem like that's the case here. Unlike brother like Warakuya, like brother Job, we all work, right? Listen to what he says.
Trump has cut my food stamps from $2,800 down to $350. Now, what am I supposed to do? Huh? So I literally just got this piece of mail today saying that due to new policy changes from the Trump administration and all this whatever, that all these cuts and whatever he's doing over there, now they're telling me I have to go work. Now I have to go do all this. Well, I literally got 5 kids. Okay. I'm trying to sit here and spend time with them. I'm not trying to go work, 50, 60 hours a week so I can pay bills. I just really don't understand. I voted.
What he said? Let me remind that a little bit. Let me remind that a little bit. Because, us Raza, we I don't even feel comfortable. I remember there was a time where, we were getting extra hours for my son and, we're getting a little extra cash, right? I mean, shit, whether it was a little bit or even at that moment, I've never felt comfortable getting paid for my son's disability. Because I don't get paid. It's because they give you the hours, right? And but this right here, what do you mean, bro? Like, I'm still trying to do some shit on the side, part-time, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, like you can't just depend on that stuff. Like, that's temporary help. But no, you look at it like a privilege. And this is the very same people that voted for Trump because they hated other people possibly taking advantage of that same privilege.
I literally got 5 kids. Okay. I'm trying to sit here and spend time with them. I'm not trying to go work, 50, 60 hours a week so I can pay bills. I just really don't understand. I voted for him this last election because I thought what he had good was going on, but now all of a sudden, all this policy stuff's coming out, and now he's making all these cuts, and now he doesn't want to help the less fortunate people no more. I'm done with that guy. I'm not. If he gets voted in again, I'm leaving this country.
Thanks to the Democrats, I may not get food stamps next month. I've been checking here lately. I don't know why. Trying to hold this phone steady.
We have this comment here.
That family, that's eugenics. They said that these people are superior than you. These very same people here are superior than you, they say.
If he gets voted in again, I'm leaving this country.
Thanks to the Democrats, I may not get food stamps next month. I've been checking here lately. I don't know why. Trying to hold this phone steady.
We have this comment here. Who gives a You're not talking about how white people get food stamps and then sell their food stamps for cash and then use that cash to buy drugs. I don't see any of you all talking about that.
Walked in one by one, some hung their heads, others wore their feelings right there on their t-shirts. Today, the Manatee County Sheriff's Office announced an undercover operation they've been working on for months, resulted in more than 100 arrest warrants and close to 40 arrests.
This is a huge problem, and we're like one of maybe 3 or 4 law enforcement agencies in the state of Florida that have decided to do something about this.
And it has to do with just that, meal tickets in the form of EBT cards for low-income individuals being fraudulently used. One part of the investigation centered around Gerald Millis, a local restaurant owner who police say purchased EBT cards from people for 50 to 60 cents on the dollar, and then stocked his local Pizza Pros restaurant with food he bought using those cards.
We were able to determine that he used 53 different EBT cards at Sam's Club.
Police say 55 people were also caught illegally selling their EBT cards to undercover detectives.
A couple of them said, I'm headed to go get some rock cocaine.
A beyond frustrating reality for taxpayers who today learned their hard-earned money is being misused.
You have
Oh, were those people Mexicans? Hold on, let me do it again. Hold on.
Fuck that puto. Fuck that puto.
Talk about us rubbing people and shit. Fucking Esau.
Have no idea how the world actually works. So imagine, if you will, if you created a video game, and of course the video game has a set of rules, then you decided to go against all those rules. So now it's just this free-for-all shit show where everybody's kind of doing whatever they want.
We're not feeding the babies we have. Why does the government want more? We're not feeding the babies we have. Why does the government want more? I know you're thinking, what's your statistic? Where's your proof that we're not feeding the babies we have? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that my toddler's daycare just opened a food bank in the lobby. My toddler's daycare just opened a food bank in the lobby because his classmates might not be able to eat. We got the government. Who's in charge of SNAP benefits? The government. That's in charge of food. The government that decides where.
I want you guys to be mindful, man, that there's a lot of people that are depending on benefits coming November 1st, bro. And if they don't get that money in that card, man, that's what they're talking about. You understand? Now, California is cool. New York is cool. But other states, nah, or at least they're cool for now.
Money is going to go. It's going to give $40 billion to Argentina.
For Argentina, what's the benefit for United States in helping this way Argentina?
Just helping a great philosophy take over a great country. Argentina is one of the most beautiful countries that I've ever seen.
Son, listen to what he said. Pay attention, you fucking dumbasses. Listen to what he's saying. Take over.
For Argentina, what's the benefit for United States in helping this way Argentina?
Just helping a great philosophy take over a great.
Take over. Take over. You hear what I'm saying? Wait, hold on, let me see. Did you hear about that black lady? She said she would go to the store and start robbing. She got 7 kids to feed or something like that. If that card does not go through, fuck. That's what people not realizing, bro. Like, start November 1st. If you depend on that shit, bro. And see, this is what I was saying, like, about gente like us, Guaracuya, Brother Job, or where you at? Oh, Jeremias, buenos dias. What's up? If he's still here, I'll be revealed. Like, I know, we take care of our shit. Like, as far as I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what, we handle it. We work. But these people won't, bro.
Country. Argentina is one of the most beautiful countries that I've ever seen, and we want to see it succeed. It's very simple. I mean, we don't have to do it. It's not going to make a big difference for our country. It's not going to make a big difference for our country. It's not going to make a big difference for our country, but it will in terms of South America. If Argentina does well, you're going to have others.
They're going to build a ballroom to have big old gilded dances. They're going to spend how much money for missiles? But the babies we already got, we're not going to fucking feed. We already.
Hold on, but no. But hold on. He defended them, though. Dog, he defended them, homie.
Are we expecting a beef deal?
I assume you're talking about beef. Yeah,
No,
to get beef prices down. The only price we have that's high is beef, and we'll get that down. And one of the things we're thinking about doing is beef from Argentina.
But my question is, what do you have to say to U.S. farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, they are
Argentina's fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina. They're fighting for their life. You understand what that means?
I don't give a rat's ass. I don't give a fuck shit, to be honest with you, bro. But if there's ever any band balding, is this piece of shit motherfucker right here.
Where's your soul? You preach 10 commandments, but broke every scroll.
¡Viva México, cabrones!
This dude is balding heavy duty, brother. Balding heavy duty, bro. Look at this shit right here. But anyways, let's pay attention to this again, bro. Like you know what I mean? He's over here saying like, "Yo, whoa, lady, you don't know what you're talking about. Argentinians are suffering more than the white man."
Argentina's fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina. They're fighting for their life. You understand what that means? They have no money. They have no anything. They're fighting so hard to survive. If I can help them survive in a free world, I happen to like the president of Argentina. I think he's trying to do the best he can. But don't make it sound like they're doing great. They are dying. All right? They're dying.
What do you mean by a beef deal, sir?
We would buy some beef from Argentina. If we do that, that will bring our beef prices down. Because our groceries are down, our energy prices are down. Well, I think we're going to have $2 gasoline pretty soon.
He said $2 gasoline. I'm going to tell you right now, bro. In California, if you go to Chevron or if you go to AM/PM, you guys know what that is. The gas is like $5.19. There's certain Walmarts that have gas stations, and they're like, I think they were cheaper before. I don't know what they're at now, but gas is not $2 though. We're
getting close, and everything's down. The one thing that's kept up is beef, and if we buy some beef, now I'm not talking about that much from Argentina, it would help Argentina, which we consider a very good country, a very good ally.
It would help Argentina because one of his friends is like a major fucking, investment person over there in Argentina, like billionaire type. So that's why, he's like siding with Argentina. He's like, fuck you, white people. Fuck the white man, the farmers. I don't care. You Cracker Barrel dumbasses that voted for me. You're not suffering. They're suffering. Like, just pay attention again. I want you to hear this, man.
Argentina more than it is them, as they are
Argentina's fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina.
All right, so let's look at currently Argentina. Argentina currently. Argentina today. Argentina today. Let me see. No, not that. Something. Give me something else. Like, oh, look, this is going to hurt us. See, everybody's making a big deal. U.S. ranchers react to Argentina. I'm not even looking at this. I'm just trying to look at Argentina and shit. I mean, they're still playing fucking soccer, bro. What the fuck?
It's a huge...
Look, they're playing soccer. What do you mean? Shit ain't bad for Argentina. Look, listen. If your country still has the possibility to play the national team, who the fuck's paying those national players? No, why you guys take us for mamones on me? Why do you fucking think you're stupid? No, that's mamon way. No, that's mamon way. Look. You guys give financial lifeline to Argentina. This fucking rock star. Which I think he gets plugged like Benny Johnson and shit. I mean, it's stupid, bro. Like, I don't get it, bro. Like, you guys are dumb.
Don't feed the babies. And the government's out here saying we're under-babied. We're not under-babied. We're underpaid. You want more babies? Pay us. Give us the money to feed our kids. Could you try that? Could you think that one through?
Just so we're aware.
So let's reflect on what the guy just said. Listen to it for a moment.
We already don't feed the babies. And the government's out here saying we're under-babied. We're not under-babied. We're underpaid. You want more babies? Pay us.
So I think brother All Be Revealed and I had mentioned this before. So they're like saying, like you cannot replace us. Brown people are trying to replace white folks. That's what they believe, right? So he's saying, okay, fine. If you want more babies, then fucking give us, some fucking benefits to spit them out. Well, see, those old men don't realize, bro, that they're going by their memory of, the assumption of their life, their perception of their life, right? So they're assuming like, well, I did it with 8 babies, you should too. Yeah, but the dollar was more valuable then than it is today. And they don't realize that. Or they ignore it. You know what I'm saying? Or they're just full of shit. One of the two, I understand you. Let's go.
Give us the money to feed our kids. Could you try that? Could you think that one through?
Just so we're aware, it costs about $8 billion a month for food shares for the American people, right? So if they're going to shut it down, and they aren't going to pay out food shares in the month of November, I think it's important that the 70% of people that voted for this administration that are on food stamps understand that the $40 billion that went to Argentina could have went to 5 months worth of food shares while we figure this government shutdown out. This is not on the Democrats. This is on the choices that this administration is making to harm the American people, to harm their own voters. 70%.
You know, what gets more interesting is like I started the class at the beginning. Right, the NEOCON, MAGA, MAGGOTS. Okay. The value is no longer there. You need to start paying attention to what's going on, fam.
About $8 billion a month for food shares for the American people, right? So if they're going to shut it down, and they aren't going to pay out food shares in the month of November, I think it's important that the 70% of people that voted for this administration that are on...
You're not valuable. They want product. They want profit. They don't care about you. Look, man, I'm telling you, if November 1st happens and they're not like funding this shit, people are going to be out of food. Like, I'm not lying, bro. Like, I know this for a fact. Man. Fuck.
Food stamps understand that the $40 billion that went to Argentina could have went to 5 months worth of food shares while we figure this government shutdown out. This is not on the Democrats. This is on the choices that this administration is making to harm the American people, to harm their own voters. 70%. 70%. 5 months. Remember the numbers. They matter.
Over and over again, I keep getting told it's our fault. It's our fault that America's this way. Well, it's real crazy. When I look at this government, with how much money they make and how many vacations they get to use, tell me how we don't get paid family leave. Tell me how the minimum wage at $7.25 just makes just enough sense.
With food stamps already being taken.
I'm not going to sit here. I've never talked online about my money's abilities or lack thereof, whatever. Okay. But I will tell you that I'm not broke. And I have considered moving certain things in order to make sure that I avoid losses. Okay? This is real, family. You know, like, for example, when I was doing mortgages back in 2004 to 2007, 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, for 4 years, 4 or 5 years around that time. It happened just like that. You know, things started increasing, like just out of nowhere. And people knew it, but they ignored it. They saw it, they just kind of didn't want to feel it. You know, they're like, oh, it's okay. And then it happened. And then, you know, if you guys believe like those things that they talk about in the Bible, because, you know, a lot of you guys don't, but, you know, it's going to be like those times.
Taken away, a Walmart already got hated. And this is not going to be the first by taking away the EBT stamps, especially right before Thanksgiving, right before the holidays. And if they think the American people are going to be okay with it, you think the American people are going to go starving? Yeah, you got it all the way. Expect way more riots at the grocery stores, at Walmart, at Target, wherever EBT is. Accepted that? Yeah. Because apparently the only place that is still getting EBT is New York City and California. But what about the rest of the thousands of millions of people who literally depend on EBT for food?
You see, there are a lot of misconceptions when it comes.
All right, so then this is where it gets weird, because it's a girl talking and then she puts his face. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but so let's skip it because I'm not used to that. Let's go.
Is detailed in this next person's account.
If you are naive enough to think that the pause to SNAP benefits on November 1st isn't going to affect you because you don't receive food stamps, I want you to hear this. About 1 in 8 Americans receive SNAP benefits. In fact, in Oklahoma, where I live, that's 1 in 6 people. So about 600,000 people in my state alone, Oklahoma, receive SNAP benefits. About 1 in 4 children in the U.S. receive SNAP benefits. But you're not one of those people, so you don't care, but hang with me. When those benefits go away, just about $9 billion in grocery spending vanishes. So you got to be thinking about not just the grocery stores being able to stay open and pay their employees, but you have to think about the entire supply chain, trucks on the road, people who provide food to these grocery stores. $9 billion. Every dollar spent in SNAP benefits adds about $1.50 to $1.80 to the economy. So cutting those benefits isn't saving that dollar, it's taking away that $1.50 to your local economy. But you don't receive SNAP benefits, you don't work for a grocery store, you don't drive a truck, you don't. But when all of those things happen, the only
They say, nah, she's full of shit. No, but she's right, because the way that the currency of America works, or North America, or the Anglo-Saxon way of currency, is that you have to have a debt in order for it to balance itself. She's correct.
The only way to combat that is to drastically increase the price of groceries. Grocery prices are already up over 3% in 2025 alone, which is almost an entire percentage higher than the average increase in grocery prices over the last 20 years. I thought they were supposed to go down day one, though. So even if SNAP benefits only pause for 1 month, which by the way would be detrimental to all the people I mentioned before that you don't give a shit, it will cost the economy roughly $13 to $14 billion in profit. And you can expect your grocery prices in just that 1 month to go up at least 1%. And states will stand to lose about $300 to $500 million in sales tax revenue. So even if you do not receive SNAP benefits, you never have, you never will, you do not want these to be paused on November 1st.
So let me get this straight. They cut food stamps because they said, people can just go to food banks. That was their plan. That was their damn solution to hunger in America. And then those same people turned around and cut $500 million in funding to those same food banks. $500 million gone just like that. How sick is that? This isn't just some policy disagreement. This is cruelty. Straight up calculation.
I think it's not cruelty. I think it's a choice. This society has finally realized that it's at the end of the cycle. And they're going to do anything they can to succeed and survive. Because they're going to say it right here. See, most of these countries that had been decimated throughout time, they always chose currency. You're going to find out that you don't have to always choose currency. You can do what's called reset. Yeah, that's crazy.
Every major empire in history, not conquest, not invasion, not revolution, economic collapse, specifically currency collapse. And it happens the exact same way every single time. Rome, the empire that ruled the known world for 5 centuries, collapsed when its currency became worthless. Spain, which controlled more gold and silver than any nation in history, went bankrupt repeatedly until its empire dissolved. Britain, which dominated global trade for 200 years, lost its empire within a decade after its currency collapsed. 4 times in recorded history, a dominant empire has followed this exact pattern. Military overextension, unsustainable spending, currency debasement or money printing, inflation, loss of confidence, collapse. And every time, the people in power believed they were different, that their empire was special, that the old rules didn't apply to them. They were wrong, every single time. And right now in 2025, the United States is following that exact same pattern. Step by step, warning sign by warning sign. The only question is whether we're near the beginning, the middle, or the end. This is the story of how empires destroy themselves through their own currency. How it happened to Rome, Spain, and Britain, and why every warning sign says it's happening again. Let's start with Rome, the empire that dominated Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East for over 500 years. At its peak, Rome controlled 60 million people across 3 continents. Its military was unmatched. Its infrastructure was the most advanced on Earth. Its currency, the denarius, was trusted everywhere, from Britain to Egypt. The denarius was a silver coin introduced in 211 BC. It contained about 4.5 grams of pure silver. For centuries, it held its value because the Roman government maintained its purity. When you received a denarius, you knew exactly what you were getting. Pure silver, real value. This created trust, and trust allowed Rome to fund its expansion, pay its soldiers, and build its infrastructure. But empires are expensive. Every generation, Rome's borders expanded. Every expansion required more soldiers, more forts, more roads, more administration. And eventually, more money than Rome actually had. So they did what every empire does when it spends more than it earns. They debased the currency. Emperor Nero, ruling from 54 to 68 AD, was the first to significantly reduce the silver content of the denarius. He needed to fund his lavish lifestyle and expensive military campaigns, so he ordered the mints to reduce the silver content from 100% to 90%. That extra 10%, pure profit for the emperor. He could mint 11 coins with the silver that used to make 10, more coins in circulation. Same amount of silver, that's inflation. But 90% silver was still substantial. The real destruction came later. By the time Emperor Caracalla ruled in 211 AD, the denarius was down to 50% silver, half real value, half base metal. By 265 AD, under Emperor Gallienus, it had fallen to just 5% silver. A coin that was once pure silver was now 95% worthless metal with a thin silver coating. Think about what that means. If you were a Roman soldier in 265 AD receiving your pay in denarii, you were being paid in coins worth 1/20th of what soldiers earned 2 centuries earlier. The government told you nothing had changed. The coins still said denarius. They still had the emperor's face, but the purchasing power had collapsed. Prices exploded. What cost 1 denarius in 200 AD cost 50 denarii by 300 AD. Farmers stopped selling food for coins and demanded barter instead. Soldiers refused to fight unless paid in gold or goods. Tax collectors couldn't collect taxes because the currency was worthless. The entire economic system seized up. And here's the key. This wasn't caused by foreign invasion. Rome's borders were still defended. This wasn't caused by plague or natural disaster. This was self-inflicted. The Roman government destroyed its own currency to fund spending it couldn't afford. And when the currency died, the empire died with it. By 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire officially collapsed. Not because Germanic tribes were stronger, but because Rome couldn't pay its armies anymore, couldn't fund its administration, couldn't maintain its infrastructure. The currency had been debased into irrelevance, and everything built on that currency collapsed. The pattern: military expansion, unsustainable spending, currency debasement, inflation, loss of economic function, collapse. Rome proved the pattern, and every empire since has repeated it. Now let's jump forward 12 centuries. Spain, 1500s. The Spanish Empire is just beginning its golden age. Christopher Columbus has opened the New World. Hernán Cortés has conquered the Aztecs. Francisco Pizarro has conquered the Incas. And Spain now controls the richest territories on earth. In 1545, Spanish explorers discover the Cerro Rico mountain in Potosi, in what is now Bolivia. This isn't just a silver mine, it's the largest silver deposit ever discovered. For the next century, Potosi will produce nearly half of the world's silver, millions of pounds of it. Ships loaded with silver cross the Atlantic, filling Spanish coffers with wealth beyond imagination. Spain mints this silver into coins. The Spanish dollar becomes the first true global currency. It's used from Europe to Asia. It's trusted, it's pure, and there's an endless supply of it. Spain becomes the richest, most powerful empire on earth. At its peak, the Spanish Empire controls territories on every inhabited continent. The sun never sets on Spanish holdings. And then, exactly like Rome, they destroy themselves. Because there's a paradox with money. More money doesn't make you richer if everyone has more money. When Spain floods Europe with silver, prices rise. What cost 1 silver coin in 1500 costs 10 coins by 1600. The silver hasn't become less pure. There's just vastly more of it. That's inflation. Spain is importing so much silver that it's destroying the value of silver itself. And worse, Spain isn't producing anything. They're not building industries. They're not innovating. They're just extracting wealth from the colonies and spending it on wars, palaces, and luxury goods imported from other countries. The silver flows in from the Americas and flows right back out to France, England, and the Netherlands. To pay for goods, Spain doesn't produce itself. By the late 1500s, Spain's kings are drowning in debt. King Philip II, ruling from 1556 to 1598, inherits massive debt from his father, Charles I. 36 million ducats in debt. And rather than cut spending, Philip borrows more. He fights wars on multiple fronts against the Ottoman Empire, against Protestant rebels in the Netherlands, against England, and when the debt becomes unpayable, he defaults. In 1557, Philip II declares bankruptcy and suspends all debt payments. This is the first sovereign default in modern history, but it's not the last. Spain defaults again in 1560, again in 1575, again in 1596, 4 defaults in 40 years. Despite controlling half the world's silver production, Spain can't pay its debts. Each default destroys trust. Lenders refuse to lend to Spain. Interest rates on Spanish debt skyrocket. And the government responds by debasing the currency. They start minting coins with less silver. They introduce copper coins that are supposed to be worth as much as silver coins. Nobody believes it. The currency loses credibility. By the 1600s, Spain is in terminal decline. The military can't be funded. The colonies begin to break away. And when the 30 Years' War ends in 1648, Spain signs the Peace of Westphalia, which marks the beginning of the end. By 1700, the Spanish Empire is essentially over. The country that once controlled the world's wealth had spent and borrowed itself into irrelevance. The pattern again: massive wealth influx, government overspending, excessive borrowing, currency inflation, repeated defaults, loss of confidence, collapse. Spain proved that even endless resources can't save an empire from fiscal mismanagement. Now we come to Britain, the empire that lasted longer, stretched further, and controlled more wealth than Rome or Spain combined. At its peak in 1922, the British Empire governed 458 million people, 1/4 of the world's population, 1/4 of the world's land. The sun never set on the British Empire, not because they controlled every time zone, but because they controlled so much territory that it was always daytime somewhere under British rule. And the British pound sterling was the foundation of it all. For over 2 centuries, the pound was the world's reserve currency. Over 60% of global trade was invoiced in pounds. The gold standard anchored everything. 1 pound sterling could be exchanged for a fixed amount of gold. This created trust, stability, and power. But empires are built on credit, and credit has to be repaid. Britain funded its empire through borrowing, government bonds, debt to finance wars, colonies, infrastructure, administration. As long as the pound held its value, this worked. But then came World War I. In 1914, Britain's national debt was $650 million. Since by 1919, after 4 years of total war, it had exploded to over $7 billion. That's a tenfold increase in 5 years. To fund the war, Britain had borrowed from everyone, from its own citizens, from the United States, from anyone who would lend. But the war also forced Britain off the gold standard. In 1914, when war broke out, the government suspended gold convertibility. They had to print money to fund the war effort, and they couldn't maintain gold backing while doing it. The pound became a fiat currency, backed by nothing but the government's promise. After the war, Britain tried to return to gold. In 1925, Winston Churchill, then Chancellor of the Exchequer, put Britain back on the gold standard at the pre-war exchange rate. This was a catastrophic mistake. The pound was overvalued. British exports became uncompetitive. Unemployment soared, and the government had to maintain high interest rates to defend the currency, which crushed economic growth. By 1931, Britain was forced off gold again, permanently this time. The pound was devalued, and trust in British currency began to erode. But the real destruction came after World War II. Britain entered World War II already deeply in debt. The war cost everything. By 1945, Britain's national debt had reached 270% of GDP. The empire had bankrupted itself to win the war. Entire cities were in ruins. The economy was shattered. And Britain owed massive debts to the United States. In 1944, while the war was still raging, the Bretton Woods Conference redesigned the global financial system. The British pound was officially replaced as the world's primary reserve currency. The US dollar took its place. Britain fought desperately to preserve the pound's status, but it was over. They had the debt, but not the gold or the economy, to back their currency anymore. What followed was a slow, humiliating decline. In 1947, Britain tried to make the pound convertible again. The experiment lasted 6 weeks before a run on the currency forced them to reimpose controls. In 1949, the pound was devalued by 30%. In 1967, it was devalued again. Each devaluation destroyed savings, crushed confidence, and signaled to the world that Britain was no longer a first-rate power. Meanwhile, the empire disintegrated. India gained independence in 1947. Egypt nationalized the Suez Canal in 1956, and Britain's military response was a humiliating failure. Colony after colony broke away, not because they were conquered by outside forces, but because Britain could no longer afford to maintain them. By the 1970s, Britain was on the verge of becoming a failed state. Inflation hit 25%. The government went begging to the IMF for a bailout. The pound, which had once been the world's reserve currency, was now a symbol of decline. The empire that controlled a quarter of the earth had lost it all within 30 years, not through military defeat, through currency collapse and debt. The pattern once more: war debt, currency debasement, loss of reserve status, devaluation, inflation, imperial collapse. Britain proved that even the strongest empire can fall within a single generation when its currency fails. Which brings us to now, the United States, the current empire, the current reserve currency, and every single warning sign that destroyed Rome, Spain, and Britain is flashing red. Let's start with the currency. The US dollar has been the world's reserve currency since 1944. After World War II, the Bretton Woods system made the dollar the global standard. It was backed by gold, $35 per ounce. Other nations pegged their currencies to the dollar, and the dollar was as good as gold, literally. But just like Rome, just like Britain, the United States started spending more than it had. The Vietnam War, the Great Society programs, military bases around the world. By the 1960s, foreign governments noticed that America was printing more dollars than it had gold to back them. France, under Charles de Gaulle, started demanding gold in exchange for dollars. Other nations followed. The gold was leaving Fort Knox. The bluff was being called. In 1971, President Nixon closed the gold window. No more gold backing. The dollar became a pure fiat currency, just like the debased Roman denarius, just like the pound after 1931, backed by nothing but trust and the government's promise. At first, it seemed fine. The petrodollar system, established in the 1970s, created artificial demand for dollars because oil was priced in dollars globally. But the spending never stopped. The debt kept growing. In 1980, U.S. national debt was $900 billion. By 2000, it was $5.6 trillion. By 2020, it was $27 trillion. Today, in 2025, it's over $36 trillion. That's a 40-fold increase in 45 years. And it's accelerating. But the debt is only part of the story. Like Rome debasing the denarius, like Spain flooding the world with silver, the United States is printing money. Since 2008, the Federal Reserve has created trillions of dollars from nothing, quantitative easing they call it, necessary to stabilize the economy. During COVID, they printed over $4 trillion in 2 years, more money created than in the previous century combined. And just like every empire before, they told us it wouldn't cause inflation, that modern economics had solved the old problems, that we were different. We're not. Inflation hit 9% in 2022. Real inflation, the prices you actually pay for food, housing, healthcare, is far higher. The dollar is being debased, slowly at first. But the pattern always accelerates. And just like Britain, the United States is losing reserve currency status. In 2000, over 70% of global reserves were held in dollars. Today, it's 58% and falling. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and new members, are actively building alternatives. They're trading in local currencies, creating new payment systems, reducing dollar dependence. China and Russia are buying gold aggressively. Central banks worldwide are diversifying out of dollars. The world is preparing for the dollar to lose its dominance, just like they prepared for the pound to fall. The pattern is unmistakable. And here's the most dangerous part. The United States has the same problem Rome had. Military overextension. The U.S. maintains nearly 800 military bases in over 70 countries. The defense budget is over $800 billion annually. Wars in Iraq and Afghanistan cost over $8 trillion. The empire is expensive. And it's being funded with debt and printed money. Just like Rome couldn't pay its legions in debased coins. Just like Spain couldn't fund its military after repeated defaults. Just like Britain couldn't maintain its empire after currency collapse. The United States is running out of time. So let's identify the pattern. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every empire that has collapsed economically followed the same sequence. Not similar. Identical. Stage 1, dominance. The empire is at its peak. Military strength, economic power, currency trust. Rome with the denarius, Spain with the dollar, Britain with the pound, America with the dollar. At this stage, the currency is backed by something real. Gold, silver, trust built over generations. The empire seems invincible. Stage 2, overextension. The empire expands beyond its means. More territory, more military commitments, more promises to citizens. Rome expanded across 3 continents. Spain tried to control every ocean. Britain colonized a quarter of the world. America maintains bases on every continent. The costs become unsustainable. Stage 3, deficit spending. The empire spends more than it earns. At first, this is manageable. They borrow, they issue bonds, they promise to repay, but the deficits become structural, permanent. Rome needed to pay its legions. Spain needed to fund its wars. Britain needed to finance 2 world wars. America runs trillion-dollar deficits annually, even during growth. Stage 4, currency debasement. The empire can't borrow enough, can't tax enough, so they debase the currency. Rome reduced silver in the denarius. Spain flooded the market with silver, causing inflation. Britain abandoned gold and devalued the pound twice. America left gold in 1971 and has been printing ever since. Stage 5, inflation. More currency with the same amount of real goods means prices rise.
We are there right now.
Rome saw prices increase 50-fold. Spain experienced price inflation across Europe. Britain saw 25% inflation in the 1970s. America is experiencing inflation now, despite government claims it's transitory. Stage 6, loss of confidence. The domestic population and foreign nations lose trust in the currency. Roman soldiers demanded payment in gold, not denarii. Spanish creditors refused to lend after multiple defaults. The world shifted from pounds to dollars at Bretton Woods. Today, nations are shifting away from the dollar. Stage 7, collapse. The economic system fails. The currency becomes worthless or loses its dominance. The empire can't fund its military, can't maintain control. Rome fell to Germanic tribes it could no longer pay to fight. Spain declined into irrelevance. Britain lost its empire within decades. And the US? That's the question we're living through right now. That's the pattern. 7 stages, repeated 4 times across 2,000 years. Different empires, different continents, different currencies, but the exact same sequence. Because the math doesn't change. You cannot spend more than you earn forever. You cannot print prosperity, and you cannot debase your currency without consequences. The pattern is absolute. And we're in stage 5, heading rapidly towards stage 6. So what happens next? History gives us 3 possible outcomes. First, controlled decline. Britain, after 1945, they lost the empire, lost reserve currency status, experienced painful devaluation and inflation. But the country didn't disappear. It adjusted to being a second-tier power. A slow, humiliating decline, but not total collapse. Second, chaotic.
Pay attention to this. I'm going to show you something.
Collapse. Rome in the century. The currency becomes worthless. The government loses control. The empire fragments. Dark ages follow. This is the worst-case scenario. Complete systemic breakdown, not just economic, but social and political. Third, reset and restructure. A new currency system is established, maybe backed by gold again, maybe a new reserve currency emerges, China's yuan, a basket of currencies.
Or oil.
Digital currencies. The old system dies, but something new replaces it relatively quickly. Painful, but survivable. The United States is at the crossroads. The debt cannot be repaid, not at current levels, not with current spending. The only options are default, inflation, or restructuring. Default would destroy dollar hegemony instantly. Inflation is already happening and will likely accelerate. Restructuring requires political will that doesn't currently exist. And here's what makes this different from Rome, Spain, or Britain. Those were regional empires. The US dollar is the global reserve currency. When the Roman denarius collapsed, it affected the Roman Empire. When the dollar collapses, it affects the entire world. Every central bank, every trade agreement, every financial market, interconnected global economy amplifies both the impact and the chaos. But the pattern says it's coming. Not because of prediction, because of precedent. 4 empires, 4 currency collapses, 4 identical sequences. The math of empire is unforgiving. You can delay it, you can deny it, but you cannot avoid it. Rome debased its currency to pay its legions. The denarius died, the empire fell. Spain flooded the world with silver. Inflation destroyed its wealth. The empire declined. Britain borrowed to fight 2 world wars. The pound collapsed. The empire dissolved. And now the United States prints trillions, runs endless deficits, and believes it's different. It's not different. The pattern doesn't care about American exceptionalism. It doesn't care about military strength or technological advancement. The pattern is economic, and economic laws are as absolute as physical laws. You cannot print wealth, you cannot borrow forever, and you cannot debase your currency without destroying your empire. 4 empires, 4 collapses, 4 identical patterns. The only question left is timing. How long until stage 6? How long until the world loses confidence in the dollar? How long until the American empire follows Rome, Spain, and Britain into the history books? The pattern says we're close. The debt says we're close. The money printing says we're close. And history, which has watched this exact sequence destroy 4 empires before, says the ending is inevitable. The only variable is how fast it happens and how painful it is. If this gave you a new perspective, subscribe. Because
boom, bro. Figured I'll show you how it's simple it is to just summarize, I guess you could say, the end of things. I don't know, man. But anyways, all right, fam. Well, thank you for being here. Appreciate you supporting. You know, it's not like it's a special channel and shit. Like, oh my god, no. It's just informative. I provide you guys with what I can, what I see. Hopefully, it makes sense for y'all. You know what I'm saying? That's it. I'm not no fucking crazy scholar or some fucking know-it-all. But other than that, que tengan buenas noches, hermanos. Cuídense bien, cuiden su familia, cuiden sus hermanos, and cuiden a sus hijos, y hijos cuiden a sus padres. Never forget. All right? Take care, y'all.
Se ve tan mal cuando miras a otro lado, los fantasmas del pasado no se detendrán hasta verte derrumbado. Peores lo hemos pasado. Andaba a golpes con la tristeza, me aportó riqueza, me otorgó sabiduría, pues se dibujaba en todas mis piezas. Yo con alegría le daba color después. La aguja sigue girando, tiempo parece burlar de mí. Dijo que sanaría esperando, pero creo que la espina aún sigue ahí. Con los dedos lo voy palpando, cierro los puños, escapa de aquí. Agonizando, no me espera el tiempo, no voy a esperar por ti.
Nuestras huellas en la orilla se han borrado por la marea. Si esas estrellas ya no brillan, las entiendo pa' que veas. Sea donde sea, bajo la tormenta o dentro de la odisea, donde arañas cubren el cielo de tela, los aviones nadan y los barcos vuelan. Aunque parezca que va bien, no sabes bien si va mal. Besos que pueden doler, ojos que pueden matar. Tengo mi alma en el almacén encerrada, mi corazón está en huelga, mis sentimientos en ámbar. Gente, Calamala dijo que estaría presente. Fallaron como nunca, se fueron para siempre. Millones de razones para vengarme, pero a veces duele más actuar indiferente.
Como no quieren ver agua, tenemos branquias y cerrados los bronquios como la mente de un guardia. Yo soy la montaña y vine con la cordillera. Más cojones que tu ganga tiene una madre soltera. Tú cúbrete si suena mi tu. A mi lado tengo soldados fumando de su palulú. Ni un conjuro de grimorio me lo salva del velorio. Pa' tener pila valorio se matan vestidos de emporio. Y yo no quiero una pistola, estoy soñando que la vida que quería me llega a tiempo. Desde que yo la vi sola, loco ando. Vino a verme cuando el sol se estaba poniendo y se dejó una pluma y se perdió en la bruma. Nunca se despidió de mí, nunca se despidió de mí.
Vivo en un mundo que parece roto y sé que no, porque todo es perfecto y lo debo plasmar. Me fumo un trócolo tras otro y lo veo todo otro color. Me siento libre porque vuelvo a conectar. Mi gente sufre y no lo puedo evitar, más que dándole consejos siempre desde la humildad. Es su camino hacia la fraternidad. Solo puedo que enseñarles a respetar y amar. Con esta bendición, como no voy a aprovechar los códigos que llegan, los tenemos que aceptar. Si me reencarné fue para ayudar y no para malgastar mi tiempo en beneficio del mal. En la unión nace la fuerza y eso nos hace juntar las ganas que siempre tuvimos para iluminar a la gente que se le ocurra y la malla armonizar. Vinimos para dar fuego a la que no nos va a quemar. Arda y por dentro la llama, no puedo contener la ras. Churruscao el corazón, el armazón no puede llegar a pesarme más. Si abro la boca, tu tumba hasta el suelo, me muelo a diario y sobrado de gas. Escupo risas perfectas, paladas de versos eternos, no mueren jamás. Cuando acabe mi condena, me vi muy solo y perdido. Cada vez más negra la flema, más elegante el problema, pero planté cara a todos mis enemigos. Recuperé las ganas, las fuerzas y el garbo. Dedico requiems a mis diablos, que aquí estoy vivo de milagro. Delicadas flores crecieron entre los cardos. Me dicen bien, es más delgado que de costumbre. Será de tanto que he bailado en el alambre, que a tanta pena es mejor no ponerle nombre. Llevamos la música en vena, nuestra sangre.
Yeah, man. Respect and love from the world, nigga. Show them.
You nigga on a microphone. Can't vaya a te number for everything. Rock, yo en el estudio. Bomba, claro.
¿De qué manera sufre el alma cuando alguien se va? No hay medicina que cure esa larga enfermedad. La vitamina de la vida en esta sociedad es tan divina que por nombre tiene libertad. Libérate de la mentira que está por llegar. Mide tu orgullo antes de empezar a hablar. Cierra la puerta a quien no merezca entrar, porque hay mucho que se fue y sueña con regresar. Hablemos en silencio y así no me mentirás. El poder de la palabra muere cuando hablan de más. No me fío de oraciones que se dicen por detrás. Si me miras a los ojos no te mentiré jamás. Que besar por besar es jugar por jugar. Y vivir sin amor es vivir sin amar. Solo queda la fe, solo queda soñar. Ponte de pie, ready para luchar. Some love, I can just smoke and there are some love them.
I can just smoke and the light some love.
I remember no fire, no girl. Ribby day.
Cali with a farmer soul, yeah.
¿De cuánto tiempo hablamos cuando hablamos de querer? Si la mitad lo malgastamos solo en comprender. ¿De qué manera es más fácil aprender? Que nacemos para ganar y morimos al perder. No puedo dejar de animarte, que cuando te caigas debes levantarte. Llegué para contarte que no todo artista muere por su arte. Traigo el honor de un humano con valor que utiliza poesía para respirar mejor. Escribo prosa para vengar al amor y recuerda aquella rosa que tiraron al contenedor.
¿Dónde se quedó el amor? Hey,
I no voy a sitio on no microphone forever never. Tell me, roll some love, I can just smoke and the light some love them. I Rastafari my life some love. I remember no fire no burn. Ribby day.
I live with a farmer soul, yeah. Reggae man a farmer warrior day. Not a really thing. Oh, yeah man.
Si se piensa que la música es un juego, lo lleva claro, hermano.
Desde España, international, bombo clack you, Lego. Not so really easy. No. You nigga on a microphone. Hey, tell us what? Tell us anything. Tell us from my Rasta feeling on my sin. Hey, more love.
Original. Canova City on a production key on. Ribby them, ribby boy.
Original from the world. Reggae music warrior them. Ay, yeah man. Representando el sonido callejero, nego. Respect and love, more love. Hey, pure nigga. Respect, bliss.
Ya no hay camino que recorra tu pasado, tan solo cicatrices de batallas por ganar. El tiempo dice quién se quedará a tu lado y quién dará la vuelta para nunca regresar. Toda persona tiene su forma de amar, pero pocas con amor y solo queda soñar. Lo que daría por llenar este lugar con el tacto de una flor y la música del mar. Cuánto nada cuesta tanto como tener el cielo entre mis manos y no ver a quién se va. Canto y así curo mi llanto, doy gracias a la vida por la familia y que solo de verdad. Tic tac suena el reloj y recuerdo que no debo perder el poco tiempo de ti. Ay, Kion, dispáralo, el resto lo pongo yo. Puro sonido de alegría en el blog. Ey, tic tac suena el reloj y recuerdo que no debo perder el poco tiempo de ti. Ay, Kion, dispáralo, el resto lo pongo yo. Puro sonido de alegría en el blog.
Ey, Seishan, I call it with a connection them. Original reggae music que un estudio presidente. Háblame de amor, pensamiento que no tienes, mujer, y eso solo lo sé yo, que no me diste ni un día de placer. Y pide, muévelo, 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 el sonido en la party, tremendo campeón. Y dice, muévelo, 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 original Labón. Y dice, voy navegando por el mundo, dame solo un segundo y te muestro quién soy. El mensaje más profundo, con el papel me fundo y chillo root boy. Caminando por el mundo, dame solo un segundo y te muestro quién soy, boy. Reggae music dance, I roll them, Cali with zone, Cali with them, Cali with forever, key on for president, warrior, original of them. Hey, y dice, ¿cómo voy navegando por el mundo? Dame solo un segundo y te muestro quién soy. El mensaje más profundo, con el papel me fundo y chillo root boy. Caminando por el mundo, dame solo un segundo y te muestro quién soy. El mensaje más profundo de Cali with them, original fire, fire music warrior. Que un estudio original, them, original, please. Hey, pure nigga on a microphone, studio of Kion, gangsta song, my brother come over. It's a champion general flow. Listen, my reggae music is slower. Climb the tower, feel the warrior eternal power. My brother come. Hey, pure nigga on a microphone, studio of Kion, gangsta song, my brother come over. It's a champion general flow. Listen, my reggae music is slower. Climb the tower, feel the warrior eternal power. My brother come over. It's a champion general flow. Listen, my reggae music is slower. Climb the tower, feel the warrior eternal power. Escucha a Dios si aún estás por este mundo. Voy a robarte tan solo 3 segundos. Quiero mandar tu mensaje muy profundo y pedirte disculpas por si me confundo. Soy un humano más que vaga en estos páramos, que se pregunta qué pasa si nos amáramos. Pero la guerra nos separa, así que páranos y únenos de nuevo, por favor, como quisiéramos. Ve al humano maltratar a su mujer, divisa al pueblo roto por su falta de poder. Sigo viendo al niño muriendo sin comer y al rico atragantarse tan solo por placer. Quedamos pocos mensajeros del honor, fieles servidores del humano con valor, nobles narradores de palabra con amor. Solo faltas tú para guiar nuestro interior. It's a champion general flow. Listen, my reggae music is slower. Climb the tower, feel the warrior eternal power. My brother come over. It's a champion general flow. Listen, my reggae music is slower. Climb the tower, feel the warrior eternal power. Sé que no es fácil nadar en estas aguas, ni mantener el rumbo en este sin razón. Sé que me quemo si camino en la fragua. Este es mi deber cuando recibí mi don. Podría hablar sobre coches y dinero, pero no quiero, por eso soy la voz del guero. Prefiero mantener mi arte mensajero, luchar junto al humilde para destruir el clero. Unos tienen tanto y otros quieren tan poco. Esta melodía me está volviendo loco. Pido a Kion que limpie lo que toco. Él destruye el muro en el que normalmente choco. La tierra muere y morirá callada. Creaste un suelo de arena malgastada. Nos diste ciencia y eso no te avala. Ella da respuestas, tú no dices nada. Sé que mi fe no va mal, pero aquí debajo todo sigue igual. Luchamos por vivir algo que es normal. Por eso lo divino jamás será mortal. Oh, my nigga, feel the rasta, you nigga, no my nigga. Hey, escuela, haciendo fresco lo que siento desde el alma. Nego, lo siento. Lo sé, señor, quizás hable sin sentido, pero al malvado hay que darle su merecido. Mira al diablo en que me ha convertido, pidiéndole consejos a un desconocido. My brother come over. It's
a champion general flow. Listen, my reggae music is slower. Clean the tower, feel the warrior eternal power. My brother come over, it's a champion general flow. Listen, my reggae music is slower. Clean the tower, feel the warrior eternal power. Represent, can't know where you see the from president. Champion general flower. Listen, my reggae music is lower. Climb the tower, feel the warrior eternal power. My brother come over. It's a champion general flower. Listen, my reggae music is lower.
Ikal, ik. Tu cuerpo queda con nosotros, pero tu espíritu debe seguir. Busca la luz. Aléjate de las sombras. Deja que nuestro dolor sea tu fuerza. Desde aquí iluminamos tu camino. Lucha como nosotros, pena tan grande. Yo soy tú. Tú eres yo. La muerte que hoy nos separa, mañana volverá a unirnos. Eres libre, hijo.